race through Saturday because we're really not loving what's seemingly on the horizon here? Hard to find a way. Have you had any weird dreams, Tom? Have you had any moments where you're like, I have a vision?
Like a vision of a 40 burger a couple of years ago? That wasn't a vision. That was just using your eyes while you were awake.
Yeah, both of us were all over the ass kicking we were going to lay on the Canes that year. But I'd like a vision of, hey, for some reason I have it as 16 all in the fourth.
I really would like for this to be another opportunity for the old timers to say, this is why you throw the records out anytime that there's a rivalry game. You throw out the stats, you throw out the paper. Like, give that grandpa a chance to be able to say it again at Thanksgiving dinner. Well, you saw back last month, Florida State and Miami, 1-6. Throw the records out. Don't you see what I'm talking about? I've been saying it my whole life.
I would love it.
Yes, Grandpa.
I would absolutely love to be able to go that time. There was that moment because weird games have happened. Rivalry games have happened. That's what born the phrase of throw the records out and all those things in the past. But, boy, one has never looked so impotent and incompetent going into a game against a team that, at the very least, is going to get very good quarterback play. That's what they're going to get and what they've been able to get. Now, their defense hasn't been good down in Miami. I just wish that, our offense hadn't been such a gigantic train wreck, as in they've scored the fewest touchdowns of any team in college football. Okay. Like, sometimes we utilize hyperbole to kind of get a point across. You don't even have to with this team. You just go, well, no, they don't score points. And they don't score touchdowns. And if you don't believe me, they're last in touchdowns scored.
Yeah, you forget you're lulled to sleep because, it's another week. Another week you don't hit 20 points. And you're like, man, in these continental United States, that 20-point plateau is one hell of a thing to arrive to and walk upon. We just don't seem to ever get there. And weeks go by, and then you realize, it's not only that, the running game is in the 130s. It's output. Total output, just last. Dead ass last here. Power conferences last there. 150th here. Wow, look at that. They power rate all the teams in all of college football from 1 through 385. 270 there. Like, it's just, it is mounted, man.
Well, I can't do the thing that we've been doing. We can do the other thing, which is kind of like, all right, well, where do we go from here? That's a little bit more interesting. I thought D-Rob did a great job talking about, listen, I know we've used it as a video when he joined Ira and you guys.
It's a bit of a dust up from there, too.
Was there?
We'll talk about that in a bit, but yeah.
Well, I mean, calling out the level of talent on this team is not an unfair thing to do when you're 1-6. It's certainly not an unfair thing to do when you look at the lack of quality players up front and quality receivers. And, I don't know how one doesn't do it. There's just, almost have to tiptoe your way around things not to bring these things up. I credit D-Rob with this, but I'll have to credit 247 for an article that I saw that I think Zach Blostein did. Not that we couldn't have done it. I'm giving credit to Zach, but no, going through the player for player part of this is the only thing I'm saying. Like every player that's been listed over the last 2 years, D-Rob talking about this, you and I having the conversations we've had, anybody that covers this team, kind of the brain trust that follows this, the entire beat, everybody's had to weigh in, and everybody's taken turns on an element of some of these things. Like, well, there's this, there's the talent, there's the lack of this. You know, you and I have talked to, I'll just say, everybody on this beat at various points, and they've talked to us. And this is how it works because you're all in the same places at the same time a lot of times, and everybody weighs in.
Well, and you could be on this beat and not have a brain. It could be smooth, and you would still see.
Well, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not. Look, listen, this is
it's not rocket science. I mean, look at this group.
No. This was less about like championing us or anybody or anything. This is just about like the collective coverage of Florida State football right now. And all of us having moments in time in which we say, well, what about this and what about that? Everybody's going to hear this. It's cross-pollination. It happens. Everybody talks about it on our boards or other people's boards or in our Twitter feeds, or they get asked these questions. I get asked these questions via email, all these things. The point I was going to make, I just didn't want to gloss over and not give credit where credit was due. I was just looking at the list of players that have transferred from Florida State, and it makes D-Rob's point. If you look at all of the players that have left here that we recruited and then they chose to leave for whatever reason, you would think that somewhere along the way, if those players were recruited over, if the transfer portal is what compelled them to leave, but they were good players and they were mad that they weren't going to get their opportunity, well, then you would think that they would have gone on and done something somewhere else. You'd go, oh, well, then they probably shined in somebody else's system, or no. No, the players that were brought here by this group have not gone on to do good things. They've not gone on to have successes elsewhere. You know, and this isn't like, I'm not going to rattle off every one of them. We'd be here a while. There've been a lot of guys that have left this program. And I don't mean, that's not a shot. Some people are going to leave if they're buried on the depth chart. Some people are going to leave if they feel like they have better opportunities in the NIL era with unlimited transfers. This is every program, okay? That's not what I'm getting at. But, you know, we talked earlier this year, like, oh, hey, where are some of those offensive linemen that we brought in, and why did they leave? Well, at the time, I said, well, you know, Zane Herring, I believe, went to USF and is a starter for them. How's he doing? Well, you can go look at his PFF grade and write it out. That's what you do. You'd say, well, see how he's doing. He's a starter. He's not kicking ass. But he's playing. But he's like, besides Trayshawn Ward, he's kind of the success story. Like everybody else.
Yeah, I've seen Van Dravius make a play or two in South Carolina.
I think you said that aptly. If you go look at his overall numbers, you may have seen him make a play or two.
They did have a high-profile play where they missed him in the back corner of the end zone against Bama. That was one of those moments, too, where you say, ooh, well.
I'll give you one. Sam McCall, who left here, who was a high-profile player. You know where he is now? Georgia State. You know how much he's played this year? None.
He wasn't a part of the Georgia State team that beat the crap out of Vandy?
He was not. No.
Okay.
He was not. How about we use our favorite? Travis J.
Oh, man.
Hasn't played a snap.
Yeah, well, is eligibility still a thing for him?
He's still.
I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, like for real.
He went to Colorado, never played a snap. You can go and look through all these guys. Remember when Micah Pittman left? I'm trying to find guys that you and I kind of like.
Yeah.
Well, he went to Utah. He's got 4 receptions.
And a YouTube channel.
How about we use Malik McClain, who left to go to Penn State? Didn't do anything there, largely because of injury. You know where he is now? Arizona State. Well, you would think Dilly would know what he was. Hasn't played. This goes on and on and on. There was a purpose to this. Like you could go on and on and on and on. So when D-Rob is talking about the evaluation of players that have been brought in over the last 4 or 5 years and the caliber of those players seemingly to be lacking, save for the home runs that they repeatedly hit in the transfer portal, it is fair to then go back and take a look at that and say, well, let's go back and look at all of this. We see what the current crop is or is not. And we have our concerns. Let's go back through here, and here and find out, are there examples where they evaluated a player, transfer portaled over them because they felt like they couldn't wait, they needed to make the move, and then that player went somewhere and is kicking ass? Duffy, 3rd string, hasn't played a snap. You know, I see somebody in the chat just mentioned Chuba. Nothing from Chuba. You could go on and on and on and on.
He gets plenty of camera time when the family goes and checks out Brock's games in the playoffs, though.
But I mean,
in his defense, that's some good ratings.
Burrell has 2 receptions in this season.
Oh man, Josh Burrell.
There's no I
couldn't find a home for him. They tried.
Marquiston Douglas.
Old Biscuit. We
loved Biscuit briefly.
We did.
Biscuit fell out of favor last year. He was before last season. He was a guy that a lot of people thought ate his way off the starting depth chart there. He too followed suit, went to Arizona State. Marquiston Douglas has 1 reception for 3 yards.
Damn.
1.
His size, though, and I don't even mean about overindulgence on whatever, but his size helped make it easier when they went on balance against Pitt for the trick play. Remember that? He's a larger tight end. Looks like an offensive lineman. Oh, what's he doing? Why is he running? Oh God, touchdown.
It's something that I think if I were Mike, when I was assessing the overall operation, I would take into account. I'm not saying that I would be sitting around here, oh, well, the media says this or that. He can't worry about that. When he assesses the operation, he has to look at, all right, where am I lacking? Where have I failed? How did we arrive at this place? And in the modern college football game, you really can begin to get into, well, okay, who's the director of operations for the football program? Like, you could just start naming the people under that person. You know what you've dictated to them about what you want to see or what you'd prefer to have and the kind of personnel you're looking for, whatever. So you have to incorporate your role in that person's role, anybody. I know it's popular right now to specifically state that this person is the problem or this person's the problem. But when it's this bad, there are myriad problems. It's not a guy. It's not a player. It is not even a through line or a theme simply in this one arena. It is a bunch of things.
But it's not 6 degrees. It's 1 degrees of the head coach. 1 degree.
Everything falls under his umbrella.
Tied to him. Yeah. So that's where, and again, unequivocally, I'll say, his success has earned him to me, if I was in the chair next year, at least. Now, the fact that it is a question that beyond next year is a statement of how poor it's been. That I have to say that next year is probably do or die in 2025 is really ridiculous. That shouldn't even be a thing, that next year is a hot seat season, but it is. It is. So for Mike, the urgency would be there. Of course, we all know this. The urgency would be there to ask probing questions of oneself, looking in the mirror. I'm special. Everybody likes me. Okay, now, how did I get here? And then just start writing it out. Is it evaluations? Because the evaluation side, I get uncomfortable with that because it's a blurred line. It's hard to know where the coach's input ends.
Right.
And then the administration begins. And by that, I mean the football program. I'm not conflating like a lot of people on social media are doing right now with, say, a collective or boosters or infrastructure. I'm talking about the operation, the front office, if you will, of the football program, because that's what it's going to have to look like more and more these days is an NFL front office, especially with the accounting department.
Exactly what it's going to look like. It's 100% what it's going to look like. Yeah.
Because you got a balance sheet, you got this, you got that. And so where does, say, a linebackers coach, I know probably a poor example, but where's the linebackers coach responsibility on evaluation and then your director of player ops or high school relations or whatever, where does it begin? Can those two people in the organization under Mike Norvell have a conversation on this guy being good enough to come to Florida State? Or is it the coach tells me he's good enough to come to Florida State, now get his ass on campus. That's your job. I don't know exactly how the dynamics of that work, but Mike does. And that's where, these decisions are going to be made. Much like we've said in the transfer portal before, Mike Norvell is going to tell you what he believes the holes are in his roster. With the impending coaching and organization changes, Mike Norvell is going to tell you what he deems to be the lead reasons beyond himself for the failures.
Yeah, it will start with the big stuff, which is obviously whatever changes he makes on staff, of which there could be many. It's support staff as well as on-field staff. I would think the combination of those things is going to see quite the overhaul in all likelihood. I would think it has to be. And so there's that. Then there is the assessment of himself, which I think is the hardest thing to do. Um, I will tell you that Mike is not the coach that I fear will have the most difficult time with this. I've dealt with coaches and talked with coaches and interviewed coaches that I thought no chance this guy is going to have this moment of clarity, this you know referendum on him on his program, on himself, on his any of it, like his assessment, any of it. There have been guys where I thought it's just never going to happen. It's going to have to come from somewhere else on high. He's going to have somebody he reports to that tells him this is what you will do or whatever. There are some guys that you just wouldn't happen. Jimbo would never have really done that. At the end of Bowden's career, he would not do that. He falls in that category. I mean, they get cemented in their ways and they're sure of it. And it's just, what are you going to tell a legend? That's the way that works. But Mike's not like that. I don't think that people keep saying Mike is too stubborn. I don't know where that comes from.
Regarding the changes that are necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know where that comes from. We don't know that
the play
yet.
calling stubborn thing is well documented at this point. Or, changes, the wide receiver screens, the sticking to the run game. Like, I think that stuff is fair to at least bring to the table when, week after week you saw a lot of the same things and the same mistakes. But organizationally, he hasn't been put to the test quite yet.
No.
I don't think it's fair to assess yet. But if you're hearing reports 2 months from now that say, well, there's reluctance to move on from X coach and Y coach, then yeah, it's fair. But when you throw out the stubborn word, where are you applying it? To Mike on Saturdays or to Mike, the head of an organization?
Well, yeah, and I think this will be revealed. We don't know it yet. This will all be revealed. Because, again, at Memphis, he wasn't put to this kind of test. And so far here, he hasn't been put to that kind of test. This is the ultimate. This will reveal an awful lot about the way he views this disaster, his organization, the mistakes that he's made, the mistake he thinks his assistants have made, and everything from the top down, because he'll have a say in all of that. He'll be the one pulling the trigger on all of that. It won't be Michael Alford. It'll be Mike Norvell.
That's interesting, though, because you that has to be a collaboration, right? I mean, like
only that you want to know that the funds are there for the changes that you're making.
Well, I would think that despite Mike Norvell out earning Michael Alford, I don't even know what it is, 5-1, 5.5, 6-1.
I would hope.
I have no idea what Alford's salary is, but I mean, Alford does have input that change. He can demand that changes be made.
But athletic directors don't do that. They don't typically go to head coaches and say, I want these 5 people fired and changed. They don't do that.
What if their booster community is coming to them and saying, I'm pulling funding if there isn't?
Oh, I think that it is made abundantly clear by the athletic director towards the coach and, by the way, the money people towards the coach. Those few who have, let's say, even tangential access to the head coach, they make it abundantly clear that something needs to change. They'd like to see significant changes. They're hoping that the coach sees it in a similar vein that they do. But nobody can tell Mike that he is firing this coach tomorrow unless there was a violation of the contract, like somebody did a moral clause or something, like they were caught doing something they shouldn't.
I think we need to start putting performance clauses in here, like you could fire somebody for cause because 1-6. If you go 1-6, this is for cause, man.
You start.
You can even negotiate that and say, Coach, surely you're never going to go 1-6 at Florida State, are you? Yeah. I mean, so let's put that in there just as a protection. But we know, just sign right there. No, initial it. Actually, we don't even need your signature. There's no way you ever go 1-6 at Florida State.
You could imagine in the room with Sexton saying, now listen, we're going to put in a clause of suck if by any chance your client, who we're giving quite the extension to and raise, somehow musters an inexplicable and unforeseeable collapse of a program that just went undefeated in the regular season, then that is a for-cause element of this contract. We're going to go ahead and, at that point, take the money and the position back and offer it to somebody who would not engineer this kind of a collapse, or we hope certainly wouldn't. I'm sure Sex would be like, no, we're not going to do that, but it would be great if schools began to protect themselves in that manner.
Well, come on now. Your client's a proud man. He can't do it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that would never happen.
He can't possibly go 2-10. The the aspects of what we're dealing with on a daily basis right now is something I never thought I'd see. I've seen bad programs and programs in a bad way. This program in particular a couple of times in a bad way, where I thought, this could be a real challenge. We're going to have to get back to this, and this, and I wonder if this is going to work out, and wonder if they should invest in this. But this kind of thing, as we say on a daily basis, is not something I thought we'd be talking about at any point. At any point. When things go bad, it oftentimes is converse to the, like we talk about when things are really, when you're riding high, everything seems to work out for you. When everything you touch turns to gold, you just get the bounces go your way. All of a sudden, you have this positive momentum that people touch on all the time. Like, my God, they can't miss. Everything they throw at the bucket is going in. But boy, when it rains, it pours, the phrasing, and you see it. You watch what's happening here. Like in game, you see it. Of course, he fumbled on a 12-yard scamper. Of course he did. Like you couldn't make it up. It's ridiculous.
Oh, a face mask, huh? A face mask on an important change of possession. I see.
On a punt.
Yeah.
On a punt.
It's going to be our ball.
Yeah, yeah.
Not anymore.
Still in the game.
It's not our ball
Got
anymore.
A shot. Weird. Like just bizarre things where you go, really? I do want to mention, and I will spend more time on it in the third hour, but the 10-year-old me was very, very sad this morning when I woke and saw that Fernando Mania was over. And you were too young to remember it. But the 10-year-old me saw all of it. And it was unreal. The superstardom of Fernando with the Dodgers in 1981 was everywhere. I can specifically remember the Valenzuela Sports Illustrated cover because my dad subscribed to Sports Illustrated, and I would read every one cover to cover. And I can remember exactly what it looked like with his eyes pointing to the sky and reading that. Like, everything was such a mystery before the internet. You didn't know anything about anybody, especially if they were on another coast. You just didn't even know. So to get a glimpse of them in a picture or watching This Week in Baseball or whatever it might be was like the biggest thing in the world. Who is this guy? And how come nobody can hit him? Look at him. He's fat. This is ridiculous. Like, that was Fernando Valenzuela. It was incredible. So I was sad to see that he died at 63. Is that right? Golly. That sucks. So I'll spend more time on it and give you a little bit different perspective in that third hour. But rest in peace to Fernando Valenzuela, who, I just got done reading right before the playoffs, needed to step away from the radio broadcast. He was the radio broadcaster for the Spanish-speaking radio broadcast of Dodgers baseball. All it said was that he needed to step away to take care of his health. They didn't make it sound like anything was imminent or dire. And then we get this news. Sad, very sad. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
No matter how busy life gets, your home is the place where your family and friends show you they care and celebrate with you. That's why the professionals at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning always make sure your home is comfortable. Just like those who matter to you most, Barano will always be there for you.
This is Tyler from Barano Heating and Air. Now you can schedule an appointment, purchase or renew your service agreement, or pay your bill from your mobile device. Any day, anytime, anywhere. When you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air, online at baranoac.com.
Florida license number CAC 1816186. Your friendly neighborhood bar and grill just got a whole lot closer to home. You can now order delicious Smitty's Tap House and Grill for delivery directly to your doorstep. Just visit Smitty'sTapHouse.com, click the Order Online button, and choose pickup or delivery. Enjoy Smitty's famous handmade pretzel with beer cheese, juicy pub burger, or even the amazing schnitzel sandwich, delivered fresh right to your doorstep. Support local and order online today for takeout or delivery at Smitty'sTapHouse.com, where everybody knows his name.
This announcement is brought to you by Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey.
If you're driving right now, you should know there's an 80% chance that the cars all around you don't carry any bodily injury insurance. Most people don't realize it, but in Florida, all the law requires is that drivers carry property damage insurance. This means that the texting teen drifting over into your lane or the drag racer on your rear bumper have no way of compensating you or your loved ones when they cause a crash. And this should scare the hell out of you. Fortunately, there's an easy way to protect your family from this, and it's called uninsured motorist coverage. It's an absolute must, but a lot of insurance companies are convincing folks to drop it just to save a few dollars. Take it from the personal injury experts. Don't. At Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey, we've recovered millions of dollars in uninsured motorist coverage in crashes where our clients would have otherwise received nothing. So please, call your agent right now and make sure you have uninsured motorist coverage on your policy. We hope you'll never need it, but we'll be here for you if you ever do. Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey. Don't settle for less.
Know your body and transform your life with DexaFit Tallahassee, your go-to for science-backed health insights. Their DEXA scan gives you the most accurate body composition available, measuring bone density, muscle mass, and both subcutaneous and visceral fat. Get the data you need to track progress and make real changes. Your VO2 max is the best indicator of health and longevity, but it offers more than just a number. It shows respiratory function, calories burned at different intensities, and whether your body burns fat or carbs, helping you train smarter. DexaFit's RMR test reveals how many calories you burn at rest and the type of fuel your body uses, so you can dial in your diet for weight loss, muscle gain, or maintenance. And their red light therapy soothes sore muscles, reduces inflammation, and rejuvenates your skin. Right now, get a DEXA scan and red light therapy for just $99. That's a $184 value. Call 850-510-7728 or visit DexaFit Tallahassee's website to book. Know your body and transform your life this fall with DexaFit. Science-backed, technology tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Couple of you asked about my Soda Popinski shirt. And I think you have to be of a certain age, I suppose. I hadn't thought about that. But he was in Punch-Out, or Super Punch-Out, I guess, in theory.
That was the predecessor to Mike Tyson's Punch-Out?
Yeah, and it was great. They had, well, there were a lot of great characters, but Popinski always made me laugh. Bald Bull made me laugh. What's his name? Don Flamenco made me laugh. All those guys. And I saw the Soda Popinski shirt, and I thought, I'd like the Soda Popinski shirt. You know, I didn't know this, that he didn't make his debut. He was, his first appearance was in a game called Champion of the USSR.
Really?
Yeah. in a video game. So there.
And he was the champion of the USSR.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. So, but that was a game that back in the day we absolutely loved, and one of my all-time favorites. And there's a couple games in my youth that actually would stand the test of time. That one did, and I still love to play Galaga. Still, if there's a Galaga machine somewhere and I walk by it, I'm like, ooh, I see you got a Galaga here. It's going to get played. I can't leave it alone. Actually, when I bought one of those stupid, you can buy the Atari 2600 controller now that has all the games stored in it, just the controller, and you plug it into the side of the television. Missile Command still kicks ass.
Missile Command's excellent.
Missile Command is still good.
Yes. I was even on board with Missile Command because we got a CD-ROM for my old Packard Bell that had a lot of the classic games because they were classic games even in the 90s.
Yes.
And on the CD-ROM, Missile Command was one of those, and it was easy because obviously you just only hit a few keys on the keyboard. So it was very easy to play. You had the mouse to aim.
Yeah.
Missile Command was good stuff.
Loved it.
It gets your heart racing a little bit.
Well, when it starts going fast,
yeah.
You have to, man, I love all the anticipatory explosion. Like, over here. Oh, no, he's coming for the middle one there.
Well, that was the simple joy that was from whatever that Mind website was that we were both on for years.
Oh, that's
at
right.
the old office where you play the games.
I forgot about that.
That was fun because you'd give yourself anxiety, but it was great.
Yeah. Yeah. Was it Honda Joe? Somebody asking about that in there? Yeah. I remember all of this. Played a Cubert forever. Cubert would give you anxiety as well.
Yeah.
You go like, come on, man, let's go. Frogger was great.
Frogger was very good.
Such a simple game. Even the kids' games today, a lot of my kids will play games that are similar to Frogger. I'm like, they're stealing from Frogger in there is what they're doing. Everything's got this root thing. Last night, the NBA got started. I will return to Florida State football momentarily. But we do this annually, and I failed to do it yesterday. By the way, 6 former FSU players on opening day rosters is what we always do. And here you go. Scotty Barnes, obviously, in his 4th season. Going to make a ton of money after this year. Is currently already making a ton of money. $10,130,980 for this season. It's a good day at the office. Malik Beasley is in year 9.
Just for a moment, I was just thinking back on Scotty Barnes' brief time here. But I remember at one point, it was a dunk, I think, but it was maybe a steal and a layup. But I distinctly remember him doing the Fortnite dance on the baseline.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, while they were inbounding the ball. It was against Florida.
It was against Florida.
Yeah.
He's doing this, and it's like, Scotty, get back.
You got to get back. You got to get back.
How far he's come. He was already a stud, but I'm saying how far he's come.
Well, year 1 in the NBA, he was hammering on people just as he did here. You're like, that's a physical freak. He had to develop all the other aspects of the game that weren't there. But, man, that guy gets a running start down the lane with those steps, and that's your ass.
This is one of those deals where I don't know that our basketball program ever would have ascended to its heights in the era of NIL. I think we needed to be pre-NIL.
Oh, without question.
Have you seen the numbers that are going around?
Yeah, college basketball's dead.
And it's super sleazy, too. I mean, there's a certain outlet that maybe it's on our network, but they're talking about how BYU could pay between $3 and $4 million for the number 1 overall player.
Yeah.
And in the article, the guy writes, BYU would be willing to go to 4.5. What? Are you just straight up? What are you doing?
Well, that's where we're at. I said at the time Ham was dead. As soon as this model shifted, they were dead. Florida State is not a historically great basketball program at all. Cannot keep up. Does not invest. And they will not invest the NIL money it takes to be a great college basketball team. You're going to get housed by those who cherish basketball. We don't.
Could you imagine, though, like Adam Schefter saying, well, the Bills are willing to go to 27.5. They're offering 25 right now.
Yeah, right.
But they're willing to go to 27.5.
No,
for
yeah,
Josh
obviously,
Freeman.
they're hand-fed. Right, I get it, yeah.
But, yeah, that number. I mean, what would Scotty Barnes have cost us?
Nicely done, Lee. They'll throw in some wives, too.
Good luck getting coffee, though.
Malik Beasley is in his 9th season in the NBA. Where does the time go? $6 million. He's played for a lot of people. Denver, Minnesota, Utah, LA. That would be the Lakers, and Milwaukee. He's with Detroit now. Somehow Jonathan Isaac's still in the league. That somehow means that he's a great defender, and that's what they've continued to pay because he's missed a gazillion games of basketball in his career. In fact, he's missed entire seasons, 21 and 22.
So he's Kawhi Leonard without the scoring ability.
Correct. He is an offensive liability who makes $25 million. Terrence Mann having a very good career, stuck with the Clippers who are going nowhere. He's all right. He just got paid. 6th season for Terrence Mann, $11 million. Devin Vassell is in year 5 in San Antonio, where he has lived in obscurity. Nobody knows Devin Vassell's in the league, but he is. He's making $29 million this year. He's the highest paid player on the team.
Wow. I remember when that extension was announced.
Yeah.
So he'll be there for Wemby's ascendance.
He needs Wemby to continue to climb with the quickness. Patrick Williams, injury-riddled time so far in Chicago. He's in his 5th season, but he is making $18,500,000.
Man. That is the best players union in sports.
Well, it's also home to massive deals. The television network deals that the NBA continues to sign. That money obviously is being filtered down into the players, and they're making gobs of it. And it's what, listen, we always talk about, it's never been about what you're worth. It's what you can convince somebody to pay you. You're worth what you can convince somebody to pay you. It's the way it works. And if a league is making money hand over fist like that one is, eventually the players get a big piece of that, and rightfully so. It's crazy, the billions and billions of dollars in NBA basketball. By the way, Trent Forrest is playing professional basketball in Spain for Baskonia, and was out of the league after 2 years, unfortunately. Played 2 years there with the Hawks. Would have liked to have seen that last longer. Couldn't shoot. That's what that is. He was a great defender, very good floor general. Couldn't score. And, he had a hard time scoring in college, but he could do it because he was stronger than everybody else.
Right, exactly. Man strength, buckets, man strength, foul, go to the free throw line. Yeah.
He is one of 16 former Noles playing overseas currently. One of them might surprise you. Who's a Nole that's playing overseas that you'd be like, what? He is?
As in, like, still? Is that the hint here?
Maybe.
Ryan Reed.
Al Thornton is still playing professional basketball.
Older than Ryan Reed.
Al Thornton is playing in Argentina at the age of 40.
Yeah, I was going to say, he was an upperclassman when I was an underclassman. So
Al Thornton, responsible for some of the best dunks in college and NBA history, even very briefly.
Oh, man.
Before eating himself out of the league.
Between him and AJ. Well,
the dunk against Wisconsin on the 7-footer is still one of the, that is a.
They had a couple, though, in that infamous Duke game, the double court storm.
Oh, yeah.
That, Duke is running their offense in the half court, and our basket's still shaking. Like behind there, it's still rattling. You're like, oh, my God.
Al was arguably one of my favorite players of all time. I was in Tampa hanging out. It was me, Eric Agers, and Bomani Jones watching the ACC tournament held in Tampa.
And Feinstein.
And, not hanging out with John Feinstein.
Absolutely.
Sharing
a brandy?
Terse conversation with John Feinstein. And Pat Forty, by the way. I might note that Al stepped to the line to hit free throws, and you could hear a pin drop, and he knocked them both down. And Al was a stud.
I'll never forget that. I was on spring break coming home from New York with the flu, and bad flu. And it was the last thing I saw because that was the noon tip that day. I believe it was. If it wasn't, it was 2 o'clock.
It was the noon tip, yeah.
And it was on WTOG 44 locally because I was down in Palm Harbor.
WTOG.
And I just wanted to watch him make the shots. I'm like, Al, please make these shots.
And he did.
I can't make overtime. And he did. And then
Al was fantastic. And Al really did. I have a close friend who's actually very close friends with him. And he said, man, poor Al got out to California and was making so much money eventually. And he went out every night. He had a good time and he ate well. He ate well. He just started coming to camp out of shape. It was like he had made millions. He was just like he ate himself out of the league.
He was like baseball Jameis.
Yeah. But he's still dunking on people in Argentina at age 40, probably getting paid pretty well.
Oh, man.
Probably getting paid pretty well.
They admire the hell out of him in that locker room. Come on now.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's a walking legend every day in that locker room.
Loansforknowles.com. Shannon Young, my man, Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. I should tell you about them because now's a good time. If you've been waiting, we've got falling interest rates. If you've got credit card debt, you want to pay less interest, certainly, than you do on those credit cards. Give Shannon a call today. Just saved a borrower over $2,000 a month using the equity in their home to pay off the debt, increase their credit line score of over 100 points. Really, really hard worker. I'm just going to tell you now, he's smart and really hardworking. And those are two things that I don't really usually say about people unless I know it to be true. And he is that. Loansforknowles.com.
He can go somewhat erase it. Go erase it.
Oh, the debt?
That's right. You got debt?
He's got a plan. He's got a plan to help you erase that debt. Unlike Jimbo, who's just like, go erase it. Dose, erase it. This is what happens.
Where are those pizzas, Dose?
Al Thornton must be eating them.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Ample sunshine expected this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 85. North winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Clear skies tonight, lows dip down to about 60. Tomorrow, high of 87. High of 87 Friday under mainly sunny skies. 86 Saturday. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Currently, it's 81 degrees.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Barman, you look so twisted. What did you do now?
Well, Hank the alligator needed his teeth brushed, and when I bent over to give him a scrub, my back popped like an afternoon lightning storm in Florida. And now I can't even stand up.
You need to go to benchiro.com and schedule your new patient appointment right away at benchiro.com. That's FENNCHIRO.com.
I'm really busy. I don't want to leave Hank in the orange grove unattended for too long.
Ben Chiropractic will get you in right away, and they get to the cause of your problems. So go to benchiro.com and make your new patient appointment. There's even an online discount.
Discount? That's a good thing because my purse is a little light since I bought Hank a new gold chain.
You have to take care of yourself if you want to be able to take care of your alligator Hank. Make your appointment now. Go to benchiro.com.
Well, hold my pina colada. I'm going to benchiro.com.
There he is. Haven't seen this guy since, what was it? Oh, shoot. U2 at the Sphere in Las Vegas, baby.
Hey, how about that, man? Wasn't that fun?
Good show. Good show. Everything about it. Nearly perfect. Nearly perfect.
I had everything I could possibly want.
I wanted one thing, couldn't find it, and I looked everywhere. No Cubans.
What do you mean?
There was Cubans.
There was Cubans.
No, I didn't see any Cubans.
Dude, I'm sure there was Cubans there. I mean, you know.
No, I walked around. There was a moment right before the show. I thought, got to find some Cubans. Nothing.
Dude, there's Cubans. There was Cubans. I'm sure there was Cubans.
In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas.
No Cubans in Vegas.
There's Cubans in Vegas, man.
Eddie, there were no Cubans.
Chef.
The sandwich. There were no Cuban sandwiches. You're Cuban. Of course I know there were Cubans there.
Oh, the sandwich. Yeah, no, there probably wasn't many there in Vegas.
No Cubans.
No, not yet.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
I hope you're right, Hog Watcher. I personally think for some crazy reason it's a tight game, at least first half, may get out of hand moving into the late third quarter. Let's hope. Let's hope, man. Let's hope. The crazy reason that you would cite, I mean, if you want me to concoct the scenario by which it could happen, even though it's Florida State, Miami, how serious is Miami taking Florida State? The overwhelming evidence that they look at currently on tape when they sit down to study film, I should say, the eye in the sky doesn't lie. The classic, you can tell a team, if you're a coach, a million times over that they won't play this way come Saturday. The stuff I'm showing you right now, this is not going to necessarily be applicable. They won't play this way come Saturday. This would be the one thing on earth that could make their season palatable, is to beat us down here in Miami, given the season we're having and the season they're having. They'll coast the rest of the way. They could lose every other game, including Charleston Southern, but if they beat us, it'll make this year worth it to them. They're going to play like that, at least in the beginning, until you stomp it out of them. Trust me, what I'm showing you on this film is not applicable to the way they're going to play here. That's what he'll say. But players, when they watch that film, can see the lack of athleticism, the lack of effort, the confusion, the lack of communication, the mistakes, the offensive line, the lack of a running game, how green the quarterbacks are, receivers that can't catch. Team leads the country in drops, at least a percentage of passes. So if you sit and watch that over and over again, you can hear your coach say all of that, but you think Malik Benson's suddenly going to have a great pair of hands? You think that Portier is suddenly going to make a big catch for you? You think that, that's what they're going to say in their mind. So maybe they sleepwalk. Maybe it's just sort of listen, they played 3 really close games in a row. Mentally, they could check out briefly. I know when you see the Garnet and Gold take the field, if you're them, it should stir something. The echoes of this rivalry should reverberate always. They don't. That's the great sadness that I've preached about this week, is that this week was robbed from us by this pathetic season. As fans, we didn't get to experience what this week would be. Right about now, ordinarily, on a Ballsmick Wednesday of the Jeff Cameron Show, Florida State Miami week, I'm jacked beyond belief, pumped about this game, nervous about the result, excited about what we might be able to accomplish against them, worried about what they bring to the table. There's some sort of element, obviously, a big part of it is the braggadocio that comes afterwards, and the understanding that you get to carry it for another year, especially if you're able to humiliate him. All those, and this has been sapped from this game, and I'm pissed about it. I am. Admittedly, that is the emotional part of this. But if you're trying to concoct the scenario, if they go through the motions, remember this, Miami's defense has been bad. If you're a Miami fan, you love your offense, you love your offensive line, you like your receivers, you love your quarterback, you like your coordinator, you feel very good about the ability to score on almost anybody. You'll probably score, if you're Miami, most games this year, you're assuming you're going to score at least 30. But and I know that when you face a really good team at some point, you're going to have to get stops. And we know that'll be their undoing. But in the interim, they're going to coast through this ACC schedule now that they got past the Louisville game 52-45. And maybe you don't believe, and I could certainly understand it, that while that defense has been a problem, Florida State's not equipped to do anything about it. And so what happens? Are we in the third quarter? Is it suddenly 27-20 in the third quarter?
20?
Against that defense, I'm saying,
wow.
If you find even a little bit.
Oh, my stars.
So the longer the game goes on and is within striking distance, the more pressure shifts over to Miami's sidelines. I mean, this game is not expected to be close. This should be another coronation Another Saturday in which Miami is affirmed for having made the decisions that they did at quarterback and through the portal and all of that they're feeling very good about right now. And I understand why they would. So if on Saturday, and it's a big I, big F, some say capital I, capital F. I was a little kid and I said big I, big F. But if it is somehow within striking distance, maybe you begin to feel the juice. Maybe we all do. Maybe we are stunned beyond belief as we sit there watching a game that we thought sure would be 66-7 Miami. And the next thing you know, it's 28-24 as we enter the fourth. Florida State's found something that they're hitting on. The young quarterbacks are playing well. Miami's struggling to stop this thing, whatever it is. And while we don't think we're going to win the game because Miami is going to score, we're not going to get the stops we need to win the game. You just need a break. You just need a tipped pass. You need a ball that gets put on the ground, tackled just the right way, hand to the football, helmet to the ball. You need a special teams play where you're like, look at that, Singleton's to the house again. Next thing you know, you're in the fourth quarter of a close football game and a rivalry where all of the pressure, and I mean all of it, is on Miami. You don't ever want to be in a position where you can say, in terms of you don't have anything to lose in a rivalry game. But Florida State doesn't at this point. The season is such a loss that you're just like, okay, well, try not to get killed. That's the approach. Let's try not to get killed. I feel similarly to the way I felt before the Clemson games. Like, see if you can try not to embarrass yourselves. Boone, their defense does suck. Go look at those numbers, man. Go look at that team play defense. Chef Cameron Show, hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with.
Imagine for a moment that you are completely weightless in zero gravity. All of the weight and worry of life is melted away, and you fall into a state of profound relaxation. This is what you'll find at Tallulah CBD Mushrooms THC in Railroad Square when you try out their state-of-the-art floating pods. While you're there, shop for the best quality CBD, mushrooms, THC, and kava products available. Shop Tallulah today with 6 locations in Tallahassee and the Kava Bar Lounge in Bannerman Crossing. Online at TallulahSmokes.com.
I'm Robert, and I'm a general pest technician at Paul's Termite and Pest Control. I have a fantastic job working for an amazing company. Every day, I take great satisfaction in knowing the work I do helps protect the health of the customers I'm honored to serve, and their pets too. Many are now my friends. Paul's is a local North Florida-based company, and they are constantly teaching all of us techs about the ever-changing needs of our unique part of the world.
I'm Jay, and having the privilege to work with people like Robert and all of our employees is truly an honor. There is no doubt that the staff of Paul's Termite and Pest Control is the best in our industry. All of our people are local, and local really does mean something. We're North Floridians. Our kids go to school here. We shop here. We build relationships here, and we honor our commitments. To all of our customers, thanks for trusting us to protect your family, pets, and home.
For the elimination of termites, any other pests, and a greener lawn too, call Paul's. We'll get them all.
Pinch A Penny Pools has the largest selection of premium hot springs hot tubs in the city. You might even call it Tallahassee's Hot Tub Hub. 12,000 square feet of hot tubs, with over 50 of them on site. Over 20,000 gallons of tub capacity to choose from. That's 4,620,000 cubic inches of hot tubs. But I digress. So why should you own a hot tub from Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas, you might ask? Well, I'll tell you. Number 1. Health benefits, of course. The healing powers of soaking in a hot bubbling pool of water go back centuries. Google it. Number 2, Pinch A Penny has hot tubs with technology called Freshwater IQ. It gives you real-time chemical readings and tells you exactly what to add to keep the water at peak perfection, with automated analysis to help you control the chlorine and pH. It's hot tubs for dummies. Sign me up. Number 3, they have the best prices, of course. Plus, you get a free accessory and no interest financing. Easy peasy. But if you don't want to take my word for it, check them out yourself. Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas. Locally owned, locally operated, and the easiest way to find relaxation at home.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee.
Your Sports Flash update on Real Talk 93.3 brought to you by Fulmar's Pawn, Gun and Gold. More than you might expect with 2 great locations in Tallahassee.
Jacksonville Jaguars football, the team opening up the practice window for 2 defensive players to return to active duty as linebacker Foye Aluakan and safety Andrew Wingard. Each will return to practice. It opens up a 21-day window where they can practice, but if they are not activated to the roster in those 21 days, their season will come to an end. The Jaguars host the Packers coming up on Sunday. Bad news for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as wide receiver Chris Godwin's going to miss the rest of the season after dislocating his ankle, and receiver Mike Evans is probably going to miss about 3 weeks. Right now, no plans to go outside the organization to find a new receiver. They host the Falcons on Sunday. This Sports Flash is brought to you by Fulmar's Pawn, Gun, and Gold. More than you might expect with 2 great locations in Tallahassee. I'm Matt Pauley on Real Talk 93.3.
Wendy's breakfast burrito has an entire breakfast in every bite. Fresh cracked eggs, seasoned potatoes, American cheese, cheese sauce, and sausage or bacon. So the first bite is like fresh American cheese sauce. Bacon. And the second bite is like fresh American cheese sauce. Bacon. And the third bite, you get the idea. The boss of breakfast burritos, gotta be Wendy's.
Participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
Last year's RV trip, we met a couple with the same bumper sticker. What are the odds?
Your cousin isn't a good storyteller.
He was a podiatrist, or was it a pharmacist? You don't say. I can't remember.
But she owns an RV protected by Progressive, and you don't. So until you get your own RV, her stories are the most interesting stories you've ever heard.
Wow, interesting.
And when you do get your own RV, save money by bundling it with your home, auto, or other vehicles with Progressive.
Oh, anesthesiologist. He was an anesthesiologist.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers.
Social Kitchen on Cary Forest Parkway is your place for all things related to football season. Need steaks? Social Kitchen. Need chef-prepared sides and appetizers? Social Kitchen. Need desserts for a party? Social Kitchen. Anything you need this fall, Social Kitchen has you covered. Tallahassee's only premier market where you can receive the famed Snake River Farm steaks and premier meats. Social Kitchen also has chef-prepared meals and sides that are ready to serve in under 20 minutes. Stop in or visit online at socialkitchentlh.com. Hey, let me tell you about my friends at Tried and True Consulting, a Seminole-owned business that specializes in payments and business solutions. Tried and True's core expertise includes card, ACH, point of sale, mobile, e-commerce, and hosted payment solutions. Tried and True will help you reduce costs and increase your bottom line. That always sounds nice. Whether you're a retailer, restaurant, licensed professional, or service industry, Tried and True is saving you money. Tried and True's expertise extends to payroll, video menu ad boards, IT services, web design, and social media. It's time to make one call and tell the competition to take it on down the road. Call Don or Joe today at 844-464-6653. That's 844-464-6653. When you do business with Tried and True, they contribute 10% of the net revenue to the battle's end. So go Tried and True today. Call 844-464-6653. Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
Florida's capital city. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Tom on Twitter. It's at Jay Cameron Show. I scheduled to do the Warchant report this evening. I thought, how are we going to do this? How are we breaking down the FSU Miami game? What else? You got to send in a score. You get off easy, buddy.
Yeah, well, but that's still not an easy task. I'm really feeling elements of 2013 here reversed. Remember, 2013, now, the records were different, and we were really excited because Miami somehow escaped Wake Forest the week prior. And I believe it was a kick return and a quick score.
Crazy play at the end, all that other stuff.
We were on the field because they were Bowden was on the field and planting the spear against NC State as that game was finishing. So I guess it had to have been a 3:30 kickoff. At any rate, Florida State in 2013, outside of the Boston College game, I feel like that was their worst in-season performance. Now, they end up winning 41-14, I think it was. But it was a real clunker. Like, we felt like we could drop 60, and we could have. We could have dropped 70, and we could have.
Yeah.
They didn't have their stuff together. And yet it was, when you look up at the scoreboard at the end, time forgets the circumstances. It was a blowout win.
41 to whatever, right?
41-14. The big play in the game was a screen pass heading towards the student section to Freeman, maybe. But I remember, Matthias getting up on his horse and running. But it wasn't that satisfying of a game. I feel like it might be the other way, where Miami is looking for this unholy throttling.
Yeah, you want to beat your rivals,
The way that Lamar Jackson and Louisville took it to us in 2016, they want that moment. And I don't think they're going to get it, but I think they're going to probably cover. That's how I'm leaning on the score prediction.
Yeah, I'd lean that way too, Tom. I'd lean on a Miami cover there as well. What's it up to now?
I think it's still 21 and a half.
Yeah.
Our defense is the path to that. The front.
I am very impressed, obviously, with Cam Ward. He is very, very composed. He has played great for them this year. He has lived up to the billing. There's no getting around it. That has been the shot in the arm that the Miami program needed. They've had shoddy quarterback play for a very long time. And that guy's come in and been the inspiration behind the turnaround. It's not because of their defense, which they have some good players on defense. And by the way, just so you don't think I believe that we're somehow going to exploit Miami in the way that the last three opponents have. I don't think we will. We have a hard time moving the ball consistently against teams that are far less talented than Miami. So to the point that you think we won't be able to take advantage of a weakness, those of you that were debating with me here in the chat, I agree with that. We won't. Memphis's defense is legitimately terrible. Lots of teams have lit their ass up subsequently. We couldn't. We couldn't at all. You can go through the list of teams we've faced this year that have had a hard time consistently getting stops, but they didn't have a hard time getting stops against us.
So that was the moment for me where the innocence was stripped for this team, for this year's team. It was twofold. When McCord goes up and down the field on Georgia Tech's defense.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And that number was what
easily.
It was. And you're thinking, well, I mean, Tech might be they're combative. Doesn't mean that they're going to win 10 games, but that's a pretty good team. No. I mean, McCord did whatever he wanted. Okay, that's part one. You go, all right, I see what we're working with here. Not a lot. Not working with a lot.
Yeah, that'll hurt your feelings.
Then you watch Troy impose its will physically on gotta-have-it runs. Not like Troy lit up the scoreboard, but you just watch the trenches, and you see the relative strength in the trenches, and you say, their trenches suck. Okay. And then we get into the second quarter of our game, and you realize, oh, well, they do. That's not false. Memphis trenches are awful, but we can't do anything about it.
That's correct.
That was the moment. the Memphis game was, oh dear God, this is how bad it is. And it's only gotten worse. We were blown up repeatedly by Duke in the trenches last week.
Yeah, so the debate we were having yesterday, Corey and Ira and I, not even a debate, just the discussion we were having. I was, Corey is on board with this whole idea of Mike making sure he relinquishes control of the offense and that he brings in somebody else as a coordinator. And there's degrees to which we can debate all of these things. I keep coming back really almost to a singular thing, although I know that the overriding issues are greater than this. I think that the bedrock for all of this sorry play on offense begins with, but does not end, but begins with, certainly, and is the greatest contributor to this level of suck that we've seen, is the offensive line. This offensive line doesn't allow you to be anything, doesn't allow you to do anything. It doesn't allow you to succeed in the run or the pass game. It doesn't allow you to exploit weaknesses on a defense. It doesn't allow you to set things up. It doesn't allow you to get into a rhythm as a play caller. It doesn't allow you to game plan in a way where you can recognize a cogent thought process where you're like, okay, I see what he's doing. He's trying to get this set up for this followed by this because he knows they're that. But he can't. I mean, like, I'm not making excuses, but it begins big time with the fact they can't block anybody. And I don't care who you are as a play caller. Now, maybe Mike should relinquish the offense completely. I'm not necessarily dismissing that. But what I am saying is that you could be the greatest of play callers. And if you can't block the other team, it doesn't matter what you call or what you imagine to be true. It doesn't matter how creative you are. It doesn't matter the game plan you implemented. Now, there are some things you can engineer, and he was stubborn about that, and I talked about that. I talked about how, hey, look, man, sometimes if you don't have what you need from your offensive line, you're going to have to engineer a run game through by hook or by crook. You're going to have to run the hell out of your quarterback. You may have wider splits and try to spread them out. You may do a lot of things to try to falsely engineer a run game. You can do that. Just like if you don't have the ability to just protect with that front, with just your offensive line, well, what do? Well, you're going to have to go max pro. You're going to have to get some big-ass tight ends or another offensive lineman in there and only send 2 out in the route or 1 out in the route if it's that bad. If it's that bad, you might have to do that. I mean, it's crazy, but you might have to do something like that. The point is there are extremes to all of this.
Hey, Rich, did they leave in 9 there? Did they leave 9 in to protect?
They're having a hard time protecting, Bob. I mean, you got to do a lot.
They're releasing Ja'Kai Douglas into a round with 4 dudes around him. I think that's their best hope on 3rd and 9.
The best shot they have. But, like, I mean, you get what I'm saying. There are things you can do. They're all on the margins. They're all extreme. They're usually not conducive long-term to winning games. But in the moment, you can turn to that extreme as a means by trying to create some semblance of balance or protection or whatever it is we're debating. So I have not absolving the problem solely on this, but I am saying without an offensive line of any merit, and this one does not rise up to the level of bad, like they stink.
His investment, his philosophical, strategic investment in the offensive line is akin to our guy, Albert Brooks, in defending your life with cattle.
Yeah. Whatever happened, I don't.
Could never get a straight answer.
Never got a straight answer on that one.
This offensive line is the cattle.
Yeah. Something about a flood. There was
Like you are hanging everything. You didn't hang everything on the quarterback.
No, you hung it on the offensive line.
You hung it on the offense. The reason you bring in that specific quarterback is because you're hanging your hopes on the line in front of him. Like the quarterback is the easiest to point to. And it was in that article last week. I have no earthly idea what Mike Norvell was thinking, bringing in DJU.
Yeah. No coach in this league thought that DJU could be
right.
effective. Yeah,
Anonymous ACC coach.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So let's just assume that anonymous take is really what that person thinks. Well, he was bringing in DJ to manage the game, use the cannon of the arm for the speed that he brought in, and he wanted to run the ball. You don't bring in DJ thinking that you're going to run the air raid. You bring in DJ if you're going to at all. If you're going to at all, to manage it. So everything that he hung his hopes on is not only bad, it's bottom 5 in the country bad. Like it's the cattle. You invested in cattle, my man, and they all died.
Well, and that we keep getting back to this, right? I do want to mention that's where I would start. I mean, that is exactly where I would start. You would have to start there. You'd have to say, okay, this offseason, what changes am I going to make? Well, let's begin with the folks that had me believing this offensive line was going to be good. Let's start with that. The lack of development of the offensive line. The lack of recruiting on the offensive line. The combination and devastating effects of not having an offensive line worth a damn. I'm going to start there, and this should be an easy decision. And then we'll go from there. We'll progress outwardly and figure out what we do.
It's like being a president, and you've got your team, you've got your media team, you've got your advisory team, you've got your capos, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not everything that they believe has to make it on the teleprompter for you to say on television. But if it does, and if it's wrong, I mean, that's where the president looks bad. Not any of his staff.
Right.
He read it on the prompter to the world in a press conference setting. Now he's the idiot, not the person on staff that got it wrong. But what happens once that press conference is over and the magnitude of the mistake is realized? Somebody's getting called into the Oval, and they're going to be asked for their resignation. That's what Mike has to do here.
It's easy. I think the beginning stages are pretty easy when it's this bad. It doesn't stop there. There's several more to assess and to figure out. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know how you don't begin there. But I keep getting back to this about, well, lots of people are upset about certain play calls. And one of the things that you and D-Rob have done a good job of in these breakdowns is that more than once he's had to say, well, now this is what they're doing here, and it's actually there. It's available to be had here. This is going to work, except inexplicably this guy doesn't block the person he's supposed to, but rather skips past him and goes over to this other guy, which you would never do, and I'm not sure why it happened, and certainly it was repped throughout the week one way and then executed another on Saturday, and that has got to be very frustrating.
And so for some reason, he went with moonwalk technique here. You can see him over on the opposite numbers. He's moonwalking. But his assignment's over here in the B gap.
Right. And he knows this because it's the closest man to the ball, and it's pretty easy. But there's, listen, there have been multiple times where he's frozen the tape and said, now you'll see here, this is just a throw you got to make. He's wide open, schemed wide open there, the motion before the play revealed they were in man. This is a man beater. Here you go right here. And he doesn't throw the ball.
I believe a direct quote he said was, this is a throw you expect an 8th grader to make. Several times he said that.
Then there's this one here, which you'll see he is wide open, and it is on time, and the throw is made, and he dropped it. He dropped it. There's nobody within 10 yards of him. That's going to be a first down. It's going to be a first down on their 40. This is the second drive of the game. You have a chance to take the lead, but he dropped that there. And that puts you a 3rd and 10. And now they're going to overload blitz, and your offensive line is not going to pick that up. So the drive is over on that drop right there. And then there's this one. Here's a screen pass set up perfectly timed call, I might add. This is a wonderfully set up screen pass that is dropped. It is dropped there by the back. If I freeze it here, you can see from the tight copy, there is nobody between him and the end zone, and there's a convoy of blockers. That's going to be a touchdown. But he dropped it. So Florida State's forced to punt there. So the point is that conversation has happened a lot, and we've watched that video. It does coincide with the TV copy. When I go back, thanks to YouTube TV and the investment that you convinced me to make, when I freeze frame it and then go back frame by frame, there are a ton of moments where I say, well, that's the right call. That dude got blown up like he's a child.
Yeah.
Like that's the block. If he even just stands in the way and doesn't get thrown into the backfield, that's 7 yards. Now it's 2nd and 3. You can do anything you want to do on 2nd and 3, but he does get thrown into the backfield, and it is now 2nd and 13, and your drive is over because you can't pass protect. And so I'm not saying it's been game in, game out, great play calling, good game plan, and they just don't execute. I'm saying that there are enough pieces of evidence to say that I'm not so sure we just say Mike can't call plays anymore. They certainly aren't a good enough team, and that is at his feet. And they certainly don't have enough talent, and that is at his feet. And this debacle rests on his doorstep. True. But in terms of specifically talking about play calling, there have been a lot of plays there this year, man. Just last week against Duke, Tom.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you obviously he is not, but if Mike Norvell was just the offensive coordinator, you could make a compelling defense of the play calling offensive coordinator, Mike Norvell. Like you could. Now the problem is that,
he's in charge of a lot of other things that he screwed up.
Well, and yes, he sets the table for that wing of his responsibilities.
Right.
And I mean, it's strewn about. There's no silverware over there. There's no plates over there.
Yeah.
Can we get some napkins over here? What the hell is this stain?
Well, I thought early in the year it was really evident, Tom, to your point that you're making right now, and I think it's a good one, is that early in the year you noticed he was shocked by what wasn't being executed. He was stunned by the offensive line failures. And so he became a guy who haphazardly just called plays, but not in an order that made sense. There wasn't a sequence where you see, you're just trying to call random plays you might think work here. This is not a game plan per se. This is what I wanted to do is not working because we can't do this. So maybe this play will work.
Yeah, the problem is, perhaps the game planning, the self-assessment, the self-scout, all of those things are not serving the executor of plays, the mechanics.
He was rat trapping.
Yeah, well, and the problem for Mike is it's not bad optics. It's just the truth. You've got last year's offense to fall back on as well. So if you're going to make an argument against Mike, the offensive coordinator,
right,
you would also use last year's sample size as part of your case.
You would. In the second half of the season, you'd say that they really struggled to really perform consistently on offense. And that should have been a 4-alarm fire going into the offseason for you to say, sure, this offensive line is what I thought it was, guys. We can't run the ball.
We don't win first down.
We don't win first down ever. And we can't run the ball with any degree of consistency. I'm not real sure. I just want to run it back. It also would have been a reason, and I did look this up per our conversation in the first hour, would have been a good reason. Not saying it would have changed your fortunes forever here, but, it would be nice to have Bless Harris right about now, and you let him just ride the hell out where he is starting every game for TCU.
Is he doing anything
Yeah,
now?
he's played well.
All right. I'll take your word for it. I haven't watched it down.
Go look up his PFF grade. He's played well lately. It's better the last 3 weeks than it's been all season. Do I think he's
you think he has a pulse is what you think?
I'm saying, like, go look at our offensive line.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just, let's all inhale, exhale. It is so maddening.
Well, the easiest question to ask yourself is, if the buyout was no object, what would you do?
Well, that's been brought up. I think it was brought up here on these boards, and on the message boards.
A lot. I mean, it's brought up a lot, and I think that's a fair question.
It is.
Personally, I still think he earned the right to try and make it right. I do. But it would be tempting. It would be tempting.
Well, you would ask yourself this. All right. I think because he won 19 straight, returned us to atop the conference, got screwed by the snub, did win, as I said, every game in the regular season last year and the conference championship, that he showed he's proven he can coach. He's proven that he can flip a culture, get a program turned around. There's evidence of that. So you can't tell me he can't do it. But that said, can the man who engineered this colossal failure be the one to fix it? Could the man who is responsible for this sort of dire strait that we find ourselves in now be the guy that you want to fix it? Again, money doesn't count. And then the second question, perhaps this would be first, and the second would be that. The first would be, who can you bring in? If you're going to move on from Mike, who are you bringing in? Who is available for you to bring in? Because you can't swing and miss. You're going to have to bring in somebody that is a home run.
Well, and you have to double down. I don't mean in terms of it to raise an extension, but you have to double down so that there is enough stability communicated out there. Whispers into the winds of the coaching community that viable candidates for coordinator or position coaches would come here.
Well, you're already going to have to do that.
Yes, but I'm saying that it would have to be believable unless you've got a bloodthirsty, defensive coordinator that thinks, well, maybe I get elevated. And you have to consider all these machinations. But I do feel like the fact that we know for a fact that Mike has looked dead into the eyes of the fire and found a way out of it. It does give me confidence that it can happen. It doesn't give me confidence that it will happen. I'm not guaranteeing that, but he's faced it.
I think the hard part, I agree. I see this happen a lot now, and it's mounting the kinds of, he's a punching bag right now. And understandably, look, they're terrible. I do like that he'll just tell you that anytime they ask him. I mean, we've earned where we're at. We are what we are. He's not running from that. I'm glad. I'm not getting this, we're raising good people nonsense out of my coach. He's not talking about what great students they are. He's not doing any of that stuff that we've seen coaches under the fire, under the gun do in the past. I mean, we've seen that in places all around college football where it's suddenly because, well, you guys care about winning? We're raising fine young men that are going to contribute to society. All right, man. Time's up, dude. Great. I get it. But so he's not in denial, and he has accomplished something, both in his prior stint and this. So I'm with you. He's not a lost cause in that sense. I do question aloud whether or not he can come back from this. But I will tell you, Tom, and I was going through it. Did I jot it down? I'm sure I did. You have to forgive me. Oh, yeah. It was jotted down earlier today.
Good for you for making all those notes on a Miami week at 1-6. That's professionalism right there.
There's a lot of them, buddy. I got a ton of them right here. So we're 1-6. We're, last year we were undefeated. I'm just going to give you regular season records.
We were 7-0 last year. Yeah.
Okay, so last year we were undefeated. We're currently 1-6. We qualify without question as the most shocking failure in college football this year. We're number one. There are a lot of candidates. We're number one when it comes to the greatest disappointments in college football this season. We're number one. Now, Oklahoma State won 9 games last year. They were 9-3 in the conference, or 7-2 in the conference, 9-3 in the regular season last year. They're currently 3-4. Showed a pulse last week. They're well on their way to losing 7 games, is what it looks like to me. Southern Cal is currently 3-4. They've invested more money in their overall roster than Florida State has by quite a bit, I might add, and had expectations through the roof upon hiring Lincoln Riley, obviously. Last year, they were 8-4 in their 12-game schedule. Not a great year for that investment, but a far cry from the 3-4 they are currently. Sub 500, probably not on the way to a bowl anytime soon. Michigan won the national championship or the invitational or whatever you want to call it last year. They are 4-3 with more losses coming. They do not have an offense to speak of. They do not have a quarterback. That might very well end up being a 6-6 Michigan team fresh off a national championship victory with, by the way, a top 10 defense from a personnel standpoint in the country. Kansas went 9-3 in the regular season last year. I know Kansas is not comparable to Florida State, but Lance Leipold is considered to be one of the best coaches in college football. Turned Kansas into a 9-3 program a year ago in the regular season. They are 2-5. They are 2-5 currently, well on their way to a 4-8 season. That's, they're terrible. There are more examples. Some are kind of middling right now and may end up having horrible seasons if they continue on their path that they're currently on, which is that, let's say they've lost 2 in a row and that puts them at 4-3. So I didn't put them on this list, but it looks like they're going to be losing about 3 or 4 more games. And all of a sudden they're going to finish 5-7 after winning 9 games last year or 10 games last year. The things that I'm seeing now in college football with the changes that we've seen, and I keep harping on this, is that the opportunity for teams to go from the penthouse to the outhouse is at an all-time high. We may end up being the shining example of that this year in a way that exceeds all of the others.
We're in the hole in the dirt in the outhouse.
Yeah. We may be the greatest of the outliers, let's say, but I'm not so sure it's an outlier anymore. I'm beginning to believe that the kinds of extremes that I'm pointing out here and that I've pointed out before and have begun to discuss are going to happen more and more. And that the college football fan in general is going to have to get used to the kind of extremes that is normally reserved for the NFL. That, happens after you lose your starting quarterback in the NFL. Nobody has a backup anymore. Nobody can afford a backup in the NFL. Every backup seems to be a bum unless his name is Joe Flacco. And there you are. You're just kind of stuck like, well, they're going to lose 10 games because they just lost their starting quarterback. But what I think is happening in college football is these weird outlier type things that we're witnessing this year are going to be kind of normal moving forward. You're going to see, like, again.
So how does that impact your choice to stay or go?
I'm trying to figure that out. I mean, I can't tell you that I know for sure what they should do here. I mean, look, they're going to bring Mike back. He's going nowhere. Mike is not going to be fired at the end of this season. So I'm not talking about what I think they'll do in terms of a change. We're having this what ought to be discussion if money wasn't an issue. Well, it is. So we're not living in this fantasy world. The real world suggests he's definitely going to come back. I would maybe even make it a compelling argument, and you could, and I could, and anybody that's in favor of Mike returning could make a compelling argument for him to still be here no matter if he goes 1-11 this year. It's a tough argument to make, but you might be able to.
I feel like at 1-6 now it's just immaterial what happens beyond here.
Maybe not, though. Don't go out here losing to Charleston Southern. And what if you lose to Florida by 50? I mean, come on.
Well, short of mutiny on the roster that's apparent. That's the one thing that's been strange in the 1-6 is
they fought.
You can question Coach Henshaw today in Henshaw's house questions the level of effort. He says it's not up to Florida State standards, but they're fighting harder. Like, I would say that there isn't a total quit detachment on the level of the end of Jimbo and swaths of Willie. I don't see that yet. I see incompetence. I see confusion. I see missed assignments. Where I do see the lack of effort that gives me those feelings is perimeter blocking. It pisses me off.
Receivers have shown it more than once. How about the pick on Saturday night or Friday night, and the lack of effort?
I'm telling you,
to make a tackle there.
Well, and if you're talking about the pick six,
well,
because that guy can't block and he doesn't want to block, and we continually put him in a position where we're asking him to block. And that pisses me off.
Well, and there's the other pick on the other sideline. There's not exactly a by hell or high water, I'm going to make this tackle to ensure that he doesn't make this. I mean, like, there's not a lot of that.
And, man, if you want to call it out on a Monday in a press conference and say it's awful, which Mike never uses strong language against the performance of his own players.
But he has this year.
If you want to call it awful and you ask the same dudes to complete the same basic assignments and they turn it down,
yeah,
that's that, man. No. Now, many other places I'm not seeing that, but at receiver, oh, dude, it's
tough, man. Know your body, transform your life with my friends at DexaFit Tallahassee, your go-to for science-backed health insights. Get a DEXA scan today. You'll get the most accurate body composition assessment available. Measures bone density, muscle mass. You'll find out where your visceral fat lies, and they'll give you a game plan to get rid of it. Get the data that you need to track progress on and make real changes. Your VO2 max, best indicator of health and longevity, but it offers more than just a number. Respiratory function, calories burned at different intensities, whether your body burns fat or carbs, all of the things that allow you to train smarter, not harder. You can get the RMR test. You can get red light therapy there, which will help soothe your aching muscles, reduce inflammation, and rejuvenate your skin. Lots of reasons to go see the folks at DexaFit now and get a DEXA scan and red light therapy for just $99. Just $99. It's normally close to $200. For my listeners, you get a break because you're good people for listening to the Jeff Cameron Show, and they want to make sure you see that they too can provide something in your life. Give them a call today, 850-510-7728. You could also visit DexaFit Tallahassee's website to book. Know your body, transform your life this fall with DexaFit.
Surprising flavors, cultural authenticity, and unique adventures are some of the main ingredients that go into every single plate served at Café de Martín, Tallahassee's best Peruvian dining experience. Led by classically trained Chef Martín, passion for culture, passion for flavor, and a passion for people can be felt from the moment you step inside. Café de Martín also offers an unparalleled outdoor dining experience in the garden. Surrounded by vibrant flowers and plants, and nestled between carefully curated decor, the shaded and breezy outdoor garden features elegant live music regularly, and the romantic evening lighting makes Café de Martín the best place to share conversation and connect with the ones you love. Every dish is made from scratch, and every drink is handmade by trained bartenders, offering the very best margaritas and old fashions in the city. Take a trip to a Peruvian paradise right here in the capital city. Visit Café de Martín and El Bar on Capital Circle Northeast in the Esposito Shopping Center. Open daily for lunch, happy hour, and dinner. Find the full menu online at cafedemartin.com.
This is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. Sellers, are you stuck between wanting to sell your home and waiting for rates to fall? Are you worried about the contingency of having to sell your home? What if you didn't have to? With a 2-1 rate buy down, you can lock in a lower interest rate for the first 2 years of your mortgage and get the home you want now, all while having a higher chance to buy that next home with the contingency of selling yours. If you wait for rates to fall, you risk more competition, sellers less likely to wait, and paying more for that next property. If you're stuck, we need to talk. Give me a call at 954-369-6171. Again, this is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. That's 954-369-6171. And don't forget, for every loan we close for our fellow Knowles, I will personally donate $250 to the Battle's End.
Equal housing right. NMLS number 373031.
Know your body and transform your life with DexaFit Tallahassee, your go-to for science-backed health insights. Their DEXA scan gives you the most accurate body composition available, measuring bone density, muscle mass, and both subcutaneous and visceral fat. Get the data you need to track progress and make real changes. Your VO2 max is the best indicator of health and longevity, but it offers more than just a number. It shows respiratory function, calories burned at different intensities, and whether your body burns fat or carbs, helping you train smarter. DexaFit's RMR test reveals how many calories you burn at rest and the type of fuel your body uses, so you can dial in your diet for weight loss, muscle gain, or maintenance. And their red light therapy soothes sore muscles, reduces inflammation, and rejuvenates your skin. Right now, get a DEXA scan and red light therapy for just $99. That's a $184 value. Call 850-510-7728 or visit DexaFit Tallahassee's website to book. Know your body and transform your life this fall with DexaFit.
With bachelor's and law degrees from Florida State University, he's a small business owner in Tallahassee who's worked in courts all over Florida. A trial lawyer who works in Leon County Court every day, a husband and father tied to our community, a pro bono award winner with a commitment to giving back. And if elected with your help and your vote, a Leon County judge. Vote Robert Churchill for Leon County Judge, Seat 4.
Paid for and approved by Robert Churchill for Leon County Judge, Seat 4.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
short segment because I went so long that segment, but I will fill it with laughter. Here you go. The SEC has announced that their next Legends class will induct Vince Young and Barry Switzer. In other news, the ACC would like to announce that next month they'll honor ACC greats Ray Lewis and Fred Biletnikoff. Oh, my goodness, SEC, you outdo yourself sometimes. Barry Switzer. Ah, yes, indeed, the SEC great Barry Switzer. He of the Big Eight. I remember those glorious days in SEC land as Vince Young shined amongst all of the greats in this conference that just means more. It was Vince Young that took the league to another level. That is a legitimate announcement.
Yeah. The it means more thing too. That's that just reminds me of, remember that 22-minute interview with Tebow last year?
Mm-hmm.
It really does mean more. Like 3rd and 6, man. Can we watch the game?
He lisped his way into a commercial.
It really does mean more. You're playing an ACC team. What the hell are you talking about?
Anyhow, the Legends class, I'm sure, will be proud as they induct Barry Switzer and Vince Young in. Honestly, just go grab every great Florida State player prior to our entrance into the ACC, every great Miami player, all those national championships too, by the way. Add them to the ledger for the ACC.
ACC legend, Lee Corso.
Oh, that is rich, man. How did somebody with a straight face send out that announcement? Like,
right. Yeah.
Quite honestly, you'd almost refuse, right? Like, guys,
you'd have to designate. Yes, it's really simple. You just call it the legacy wing or the history wing or whatever of the SEC honorees, because we don't want to leave out any of our proud member institutions in this fine conference where it means more.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an extra sentence.
SEC great linebacker Dat Win will be next inducted. That is so good.
But you know what they're going to do is they're going to gaslight and change it like it never existed. Like, this is what happens in history. So the victors go the history books.
Yeah.
And that's part of the spoils. So Cedric Benson's going to be walking down the road one day, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And hey, what was it like playing in the SEC?
Is that SEC
Who
great
told
Cedric
you that?
Benson?
Well, Greg Sankey told me that.
There's never been, and I'll argue this to the death, Kyle, there's never been a better running back in the SEC than Ricky Williams. I'm telling you right now.
Oh, man, I picked a bad one. Cedric Benson died. I've
Well,
done it
all the
again.
more reason to honor the man as an SEC great. That's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Ample sunshine expected this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 85. North winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Clear skies tonight, lows dip down to about 60. Tomorrow, high of 87. High of 87 Friday under mainly sunny skies. 86 Saturday. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Currently, it's 80 degrees.
Searching for the best place to host an event for your friends and family? The Golf Club at Summerbrook is more than just a place for a round of golf. It's also one of the best choices for hosting and celebrating the most special days in your life. From rehearsal dinners and baby showers to corporate banquets and kids' birthday parties, you'll receive amazing personal service and attention to every detail when you choose the Golf Club at Summerbrook. Find out how affordable it can be and call us today at 850-894-GOLF. That's 850-894-GOLF.
It's that time again, where we choose who we think is the best candidate for office. It's a difficult decision that requires the evaluation of contenders. Do they have the appropriate skills and experience for this office? Are they the right type of leader? Do they have a clear vision? Selecting the right candidate is no easy feat. That's why, for your office, there's ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes choosing the right candidate for any office easy because they only find and send you the most qualified people for your roles. Best of all, they do it fast. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So, while you're thinking about that really big decision, rest assured that any other hiring decision will be much easier when you use ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
There is no Bigfoot, Eddie. Would you stop with that nonsense?
There's a Bigfoot, Jeff.
I wish there were. By the way, I don't want you to point to me as the guy that takes all the fun out of the room. I wish there was the Loch Ness Monster. I wish there was the Bigfoot. I wish there was the Chupacabra. All the things.
They're all mythical except for the Bigfoot. The Sasquatch.
The Bigfoot?
The Bigfoot. There's big feet. There's lots of them.
So, like, different, breeds, like different kinds
there's
of...
there's like, families. There's different families. And,
so if they're in the snow, you call them a Sasquatch.
Or the Yeti. Right,
Yep,
and then here in Florida, that's a skunk ape, and but
never heard that one. By the way, why do you think it's real? We would have found them by now.
They're the hide and seek champions of the world. Nobody finds the Bigfoot.
I think you believe in Bigfoot.
I do believe in Bigfoot.
You don't believe.
I believe in Bigfoot.
Don't tell anybody you believe in Bigfoot.
I would go look for Bigfoot, but he scares me.
Florida, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
I wish they wouldn't put all of our ass kickings, of which we're in the wrong side of the ledger, at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock for everybody to be flipping around to. Can't they bury us at 9 a.m.? Make it a midnight start, throw us out in Hawaii.
I'm telling you, it's a market. Well, they're going to do that next year for us. I think the numbers were good for Miami Cal, trying to capitalize on that Pac-12 after dark money. So I would think that, us at Stanford, us at Cal, whoever, they're going to put us out there at 10:30. But I feel like the morning game is a market. I really do.
Well, I don't want us to be the morning game. I mean, we don't need to be the one treated like USF, or worse yet, the way the Jacksonville Jaguars are treated in the NFL. Hey, Jacksonville, why don't you give up a few home games and take it on over to London for some games nobody's going to watch?
I mean, let's play in Dublin. Let's have the residency in Dublin, but we've just got to convince to be the road team.
I'll be happy to go back to Dublin. I got a really good sense of the city having been there 3 times now, but I would...
there's always a greater sense you can gather.
Oh, yes. And I actually got, this last time, kind of capped off my knowledge of how the city runs and how to get to go where... I could move there tomorrow and be like, oh, you're trying to... Oh, I'll show you. I know where it is.
Also, it's good for the gut.
Yeah,
the food over there is just... Well,
it's pure food, yeah.
It's pure food. It's real food. Real food is the way to put it. It's such a difference. I still can't. That's the thing that blew me away the most was in England, the food was, come on, man. They don't know what they're doing there, unfortunately. But if you go to international parts of London, you could go get food from continental Europe and you're A-okay.
Well, you can get food from India, which is the best.
That was your saving grace, was to go have foreign food in England. You were going to have local food. Local food in Ireland. Within 3 days, you feel like there's a cloud lifted out of your mind. It's ridiculous.
True of a lot of Europe. It's part of the larger conversation about the food.
That's for real.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah. Well, there are certain laws that don't allow you to add certain preservatives that we ignore here. Man. Yeah, I'll go back to Dublin next year and the year after. Let's play 4 games there. Let's just play for a month on end. Hang out. It's the month I live in Dublin. I normally am excited for Florida State fans to hop in the car or fly, depending. But our godforsaken airport once again saw another useful airline decide to bow out a month after being here. So JetBlue's gone, or you could have been flying down there for $80. My point was that I normally get excited about heading down to our home away from home, the Hard Rock, where we own the Canes and routinely dole out ass kickings. I couldn't wait. Before the season, when the schedule was up, I was making my plans. As you well know, I have an invite for free food at Joe Stone Crab. All the goodness, and I've had to say, not going to do it. Not going to do it. I am going to go to Notre Dame. And you can too.
Ooh.
SpiritExpress.com. Check it out. SpiritExpress.com. Tom wants you to know I actually rebooked last night.
Rebook.
It was a re with the booking to Chicago. But Spirit Express, the reason I bring it up is if you were undecided and you wanted to go, yes, check out those Chicago Windy City Knoll shirts. They'll be there in abundance, I'm sure.
It's a Friday event as well.
Mm-hmm.
They've got it on lockdown. Also, the portion of what you donate, proceeds benefit scholarship funds that the Windy City Seminoles put together, sending students from the Midwest down here to Florida State, which is
really cool. So there you go, man. SpiritExpress.com. That's spear as in like a spear that you're throwing, stabbing, killing with.
You're right about the shot that they pour in that cup.
Oh, man, they're not fooling around with that shot. I'm like, that lady knows what time it is. These people came to get down. Let's give them a good shot. Not some chintzy little, here you go, here's your wee shot. No. It's a good pour. What happened? That was the quickest. There it is. SpiritExpress.com. Get signed up today. Round trip. Plus the tailgate. You get everything you want, $250 or $145, depending on what you want to do.
Yeah, if you want to break it up, you just need the ride because you got somebody who's going to be setting up a heated tent of their own, which I can't imagine that there are many of those floating around, which is why it's superior. It's like a Kia. It's a superior automobile. Spirit Express has the superior setup. I think the tailgate-only pass is the one. It's open bar, everything, heated. You just show up and you have a good time. That's the way to do it if you're coming from a different part of the Midwest.
Oh, if you're already over there. Yeah.
You're already in South Bend.
What are you talking about, Tom? Let's get on the bus.
No, of course. If I'm in Chicago, I'm going to get on the bus. Of course you would.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people coming from the East, some people coming from different parts of the Midwest, maybe making a trip over to Milwaukee, and then they'll drive over, things like that.
The hell's going to Milwaukee?
I know a couple people.
Why?
They're going to do some breweries and.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, what are we doing here? It's not baseball season. There's no reason to be in Milwaukee. I've been to Milwaukee, Tom. It's not screaming, please come visit me.
Are you going to the game the next day? The NFL game?
Yeah, I'm going. I've got the whole family headed to South Bend. We'll get to explore that dump of a town, Tom. We'll stay in Chicago. We'll get on the bus. We'll ride down to Chicago. We'll do the tailgate. We'll have a good time. We'll go in. We'll watch Florida State get their ass beat. Like the last time I was at the Florida State Notre Dame game.
Should be quick, though. They want to run the ball.
Yep. And then we'll jump on the bus. I'll drink it all away. We'll make our way back to Chicago. Booked a nice place to stay in Chicago. Anyhow, then from there, the next day, we get up. We go to the Bears game. Boys are going to get to see Soldier Field.
Hey.
Cross it off the list.
May versus Caleb Williams. That was for many, many months, 1 versus 2 on everybody's NFL board.
Yeah, so there you go. Got that. And then we're also, I think that's an early game, so I'm going to try to get them over to a few of the sites in Chicago. There's like a lot more to do we won't have time for, but I'm going to make sure the kids, like the Field Museum or something like that, we'll get a couple things in there beyond just the football.
The Fields medal.
Then we come back. And hopefully, upon flying back, Monday's a holiday. Maybe by Wednesday, Tom, when we sit down together, we'll be like, all right, good.
Okay.
What a big win.
Yeah, I heard that. I didn't miss that one. Oh, Monday's a holiday.
It is.
Yeah, we're in a bye week.
So it's a holiday and a bye week. That means Wednesday when we get together, we'll talk all about the upset victory over Notre Dame. How about them apples?
Yeah, talk about the bye. There you go.
Any more SEC legends that they should consider in the weeks to come? I mean, now that we're inducting Barry Switzer and Vince Young.
Noting a personal vacation on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
I want to go through every, you don't have enough of Who would be the underrated one you'd grab from Missouri lore?
Ooh.
Daniels?
Who
would you?
They had a receiver. No, they've had a really good receiver once upon a time, didn't they?
I'm sure. I mean, yes. You're trying to think of. Let's do. You're gonna make me do this now. I'm gonna have so much fun with this. I'm gonna do it, and we're gonna have fun with the ACC as well. Blaine Gabbert, Chase Daniel, who's I was talking about, you not receivers, but you could have them do that. They get in.
There you go, Jeremy Maclin. Like, look, it's not about what they did in the pros. Jeremy Maclin was very well thought of.
Today we welcome SEC great Jeremy Maclin.
There you go.
Today we welcome SEC great Otis Smith, the defensive back for the Patriots. Well, my man James Wilder, who played for the Bucs, played at Missouri, and my man James Wilder would be an SEC class act.
Yes, absolutely.
How about Mel Gray?
How about Kellen Winslow Sr.?
He's a douche.
Well, hang on now. Allow me to retort. He's an SEC legend.
Justin Smith, defensive end. Andy Russell, the linebacker. Not that many greats at Mizzou, Tom. I think Kellen Winslow's the best they ever had. 79 draft, first round, San Diego Chargers. Yes, Air Coryell, all of it. Dan Fouts, he was a great player. Nearly died against the Dolphins.
Ziggy Hood?
No. Not making it to the SEC's Legends class.
No?
Oh, that's still good. I can't believe they did it. Somebody sent that press release with a straight face. Do you think all the SEC greats, like the legit SEC greats, are like, what do we, do they show up? The boss. Oh, how in the world did Vince Young and Barry Switzer get in before the boss? Think of the PR points you could have got for the boss. That'd have been good. Hour number 3. I do want to talk about Fernando. Doff the cap to him. Get into some other items, including the NFL and who the Bucs should trade for it. We'll do it next. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This announcement is brought to you by Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey.
If you're driving right now, you should know there's an 80% chance that the cars all around you don't carry any bodily injury insurance. Most people don't realize it, but in Florida, all the law requires is that drivers carry property damage insurance. This means that the texting teen drifting over into your lane or the drag racer on your rear bumper have no way of compensating you or your loved ones when they cause a crash. And this should scare the hell out of you. Fortunately, there's an easy way to protect your family from this, and it's called uninsured motorist coverage. It's an absolute must, but a lot of insurance companies are convincing folks to drop it just to save a few dollars. Take it from the personal injury experts. Don't. At Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey, we've recovered millions of dollars in uninsured motorist coverage in crashes where our clients would have otherwise received nothing. So please, call your agent right now and make sure you have uninsured motorist coverage on your policy. We hope you'll never need it, but we'll be here for you if you ever do. Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey. Don't settle for less.
Widden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Widden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Widden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Widden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Widden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
Pinch a Penny Pools has the largest selection of premium hot springs hot tubs in the city. You might even call it Tallahassee's Hot Tub Hub. 12,000 square feet of hot tubs, with over 50 of them on site. Over 20,000 gallons of tub capacity to choose from. That's 4,620,000 cubic inches of hot tubs. But I digress. So why should you own a hot tub from Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas, you might ask? Well, I'll tell you. Number 1, health benefits, of course. The healing powers of soaking in a hot bubbling pool of water go back centuries. Google it. Number 2, Pinch a Penny has hot tubs with technology called Freshwater IQ. It gives you real-time chemical readings and tells you exactly what to add to keep the water at peak perfection. With automated analysis to help you control the chlorine and pH. It's hot tubs for dummies. Sign me up. Number 3, They have the best prices, of course. Plus, you get a free accessory and no interest financing. Easy peasy. But if you don't want to take my word for it, check them out yourself. Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas. Locally owned, locally operated, and the easiest way to find relaxation at home.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
WBFT Greater Tallahassee. This is Real Talk 93.3 on 93.3. More of the Jeff Cameron Show is coming up next. Your sports action update on Real Talk 93.3 with all the latest odds from Vegas. Brought to you by Fulmar's Pawn, Gun and Gold. More than you might expect with two great locations in Tallahassee.
Florida State struggling to a 1-6 record, 1-5 for the ACC this season. They have won 3 straight head-to-head against Miami in 10 of 14, but the Hurricanes with a heavy 21-point home favorite at Hard Rock Stadium Saturday. 54.5 the total. BYU, a 1.5 road favorite at UCF. That's down from 2. 55 the total at FBC Mortgage Stadium. Florida and Georgia both off this week. They'll return to action in Jacksonville November the 2nd. Jaguars at Everbank Stadium on Sunday. A 4.5-point underdog to Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. 49.5 the total on Sunday. Cash back for every bet with a G-Bank signature Visa card. Visa.com/GBank. Mike Son at Real Talk 93.3.
Wendy's breakfast burrito has an entire breakfast in every bite. Fresh cracked eggs, seasoned potatoes, American cheese, cheese sauce, and sausage or bacon. So the first bite is like fresh American cheese sauce. Bacon. And the second bite is like fresh American cheese sauce. Bacon. And the third bite, you get the idea. The boss of breakfast burritos, gotta be Wendy's.
Participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
Last year's RV trip, we met a couple with the same bumper sticker. What are the odds?
Your cousin isn't a good storyteller.
He was a podiatrist, or was it a pharmacist? Huh? You don't say. I can't remember.
But she owns an RV protected by Progressive, and you don't. So until you get your own RV, her stories are the most interesting stories you've ever heard.
Wow, interesting.
And when you do get your own RV, save money by bundling it with your home, auto, or other vehicles with Progressive.
Oh, anesthesiologist. He was an anesthesiologist.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Time to head out on our annual guys fishing trip. Wait, where's Jimmy?
He just texted me saying he has to swing by his storage unit to get a couple of things. And now there's a truck blocking him in and he won't be here for another hour.
That wouldn't have happened if he had just called Southeast Portable Buildings and got a unit right on his property.
I love mine. I have so much more space in my garage. Now I can finally park my truck in there.
Give them a call today, 850-580-6400. That's 850-580-6400, or visit them online for all their options at southeastportablebuildings.com.
Tallahassee is full of rich history and traditions. When you think of things that jump out in the minds of longtime residents, the state capitol, McClay Gardens, the Springtime Tallahassee Parade, FSU and FAMU Sports, the St. Mark's Lighthouse, St. George Island, and Paul's Termite and Pest Control. Paul's has been protecting thousands of people, their pets, their homes, and their lawns in the capital region for over 50 years. Locally founded and still locally owned and operated. There aren't many businesses in our industry that keep it together that long. Paul's Pest Control has many customers we've been honored to serve for over the last 50 years. We've experienced tremendous changes in how we treat homes and protect the people that live there. We've moved from liquid termite treatments that require drilling into the home's foundation to Centricon, a baiting system which works with their natural biology. We've moved from interior service to exterior treatments for general pests. But one thing we're not going to change is our old-fashioned commitment to personal service for each of our customers, the same way we've been doing it for over 50 years.
For the elimination of termites, any other pests, and a greener lawn too.
Call Paul's.
We'll get them all.
Pinch a Penny Pools has 12,000 square feet of hot tubs, over 20,000 gallons of tub capacity to choose from. That's 4,620,000 cubic inches of hot tubs. But if you don't want to take my word for it, check them out yourself. Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas, locally owned, and the easiest way to find relaxation at home.
Clean, renewable energy means fresher air, healthier residents, new green jobs, and a stronger, more resilient community. How we get there is up to you. Share your input today to help shape the Tallahassee of tomorrow. Take the Clean Energy Survey at talgov.com.
Florida's capital city. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Mentioned it earlier. I was sad when I awoke to the news that Fernando Valenzuela had passed away at the relatively young age of 63 years old on the heels of just before the playoff, the Dodgers announcing that he had stepped away from the Spanish broadcast of Dodger games to tend to his health. Obviously, this must have been something that moved very quickly, unfortunately. But the 10-year-old me, man, I remember watching Fernando and thinking, I don't know how that dude gets people out. He's pudgy, unathletic. Nothing about him suggests that he's going to dominate people the way that he did. It's funny, you go back and you look at the history of Fernando. When he was 19 years old, he just kind of showed up for the Dodgers one day in 1980. In the minor leagues. They had no intention of calling him up, but there was a couple of injuries, and he was so overwhelmingly good at 19 in the minor leagues that they decided, let's bring him up in relief. Let's see what he's got here. Let's throw him out there. So one of the reasons they did that was that he was in San Antonio, and he threw 35 consecutive shutout innings. And so they were like, well, something about what he throws is undetectable to hitters. Turns out it was a screwball. That was his pitch. He threw a screwball. And the spin on that was odd. Years later, it would come back to haunt him that the pitch that he dominated with was not one of overwhelming power. Because what people did, and it took them a long time now, they began to not swing at the screwball because they couldn't hit it. And they're like, I'd rather see if he can throw this for strikes more often than not, because I know I can't hit it when I swing at it.
I'm telling you, I'm surprised that is not an approach. I know it's more about Fernando, but the modern day wipeout stuff that guys have, especially in late inning situations.
Like a slider, I'm not swinging at it unless you can throw that over for a strike.
You know, strikeouts are less embarrassing than they've ever been in the history of the sport. I'm going to wager. I'm going to sit fastball this whole at bat. I'm going to wager before you decide to get me to 2 strikes, you're at 2 balls or 3 balls. And let's see if you can handle the stress of that moment. Hitters, I don't understand when they're facing dudes like that, and you're talking about a national league that was not willing to adjust. They will screw themselves into the ground trying to hack at whatever the specialty pitch is because they believe they can hit it.
Valenzuela was a pitcher from a bygone era. You don't know this, Tom, but I'll tell you that he had a season in which he threw 19 complete games. He threw in his career over 100 complete games, I might add. He had a no-no, won the Cy Young, played for 17 years. But the truth of the matter was that by about 87, 88, he was no longer that guy. He was, for about a 6 or 7 year window, you couldn't hit him. He was great. You could trust him. Unlike many, he would pitch. Oh, by the way, in the seasons in which he didn't have 19 complete games, he had 17 or 16. It was normal for him to do that. It is amazing to go back and just look at the numbers, the innings pitched, right? But Fernando Mania was very real in 1981, and the irony is, of course, it was the last time prior to this season that the Yankees and Dodgers met in the World Series. And the Dodgers won the World Series in 81 on the back of Fernando, and he was a superstar. The whole country was talking about who is this kid from Mexico that nobody's ever heard of, that had not been a name that people knew was coming up through the ranks or anything like that. Nobody knew it. And then just like that, he was a star, and it was cool. It was cool. I remember because, I'm a Pirates fan. I didn't care about the Dodgers, but I remember thinking it was cool to watch him, and people loved him because he was so affable, just a happy-go-lucky kid. You read about how the Dodgers, like every other major league franchise for many, many years, for the better part of 60 to 70 years, screwed over Latin ball players. They'd discover people in these tiny leagues in the middle of nowhere in Latin countries, and they'd give them $15,000, which was more money than they'd ever seen in their life. And they did that with Fernando Valenzuela. Now, he went on to become a legend and a star and held on high and employed by the Dodgers for many, many years and all of these other things. It took him being great for them to eventually do all of those things, which he did. But, yeah, you read those stories, you're like, well, man, that's on the cheap, to say the least. Rookie of the year was Fernando, and as I said, he was a Cy Young Award winner, 17 years in the majors, threw a no-hitter, and was a complete game machine. Complete game machine. Just basically, managers, what time it was sorted in this case, it's your ball. I'll make pitching decisions tomorrow. We'll see what happens. We're going to be all right. And if you think about those days, and Tom, I'll tell you that team, I jotted down my memories and I went to double check his memories plays tricks on you. So I wanted to make sure I was right about this. But I knew Dusty Baker was on that team. I knew Davey Lopes was on that team. I knew that Ron Say was on that team. He was the Penguin. Years later with the Cubs. And I thought Don Sutton was on that team. And this team was filled with people that you probably remember as announcers or managers.
Yeah, I met Don Sutton on a flight from Manhattan to Albany.
Did you?
He was sitting
Is he
first
still
class.
rocking the Jerry curl?
Oh, I was 7-8 years old. Of course he was.
Yeah.
And there was probably some gray in there, and he was working for the Braves radio network at that time. And he's like, "Do you know who I am?" I was like,
no.
And he said that in the funniest way because I looked at him and I recognized him.
Oh, you're wondering why you knew him?
Yeah, so he didn't drop it like he's Justin Timberlake getting pulled over, and I was like, "Yeah, you're the guy from TV." And
did he laugh?
He goes, "That's right. That's all I've ever done." And my dad started laughing, and he's like, "Son, this is one of the great pitchers of his generation." But yes, let's move along. Okay.
The funny thing about Don is, if I had been there with your dad, I might have said, "Are we sure?" Don gets silver on years played. A lot of those numbers are because he played forever, which is an accomplishment.
It is.
But he wasn't dominant for a lot of those years. I'm just going to tell you that. He just stockpiled stats. But yeah, anyhow, this is not about Don Sutton. It is certainly more about Fernando Valenzuela. And I do like that his translator for those early days talked about how they thought he was just because you wouldn't believe how women over the age of 40 loved him. He was this fat, pudgy guy that they just adored. They're like, "Oh, you're great. I love you." And nobody can explain it, but older women to him loved him. Some Fernando loved him. Fernando had to have been loving life. He was perhaps having fun with cougars before they were called such. Walk into any bar. Oh, is this a divorcee bar? Yeah, we're going to do all right tonight.
Fernando Valenzuela, meet Cafe Cabernet.
Back in the day. So rest in peace to Fernando Valenzuela. On to what has happened in the NFL, which is that the Chiefs beat us to it. Would you have traded for DeAndre Hopkins? They did, which means at 32 years of old, DeAndre Hopkins has had the best day amongst any of us this week. He gets to tell Will Levis to suck it. I'm going to go catch balls from Patrick Mahomes.
Hey, now.
verbiage. I am done with you, Will Levis. I'm going to go catch for a first ballot Hall of Famer to be and have myself a good time. No more Will Levis. What a kiss my ass on Main Street moment, huh?
Boy, that's a 10-minute bellying up, side segment right there. We'll just power forward.
Now, this is, for those that don't know, going to be just for, likely just be for the remainder of this season because DeAndre Hopkins is a free agent at the end of this year. So it's a rental, and we'll see. He's going to put up numbers. He's going to be in a good situation, and he'll put up numbers. Would you have traded for him at 32? He hasn't been made to look good this year, but again, Will Levis has been throwing the ball to him.
I don't know what the contract situation is like. If it comes off the books soon, why the hell not?
Yeah, well, he's walking. You wouldn't have to worry about it.
He's in a walk year?
Yeah, he said this is it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad risk. You're paying next to nothing for it. I know I didn't see what the final return was, but this morning it was supposedly going to be tied to how deep the Chiefs go into the postseason, perhaps, that it could elevate from a 6th to a 5th. I think that's the last I saw on it. So you're giving away nothing.
Yeah, you're giving away nothing. And when your goal year in and year out right now is just to win as many Super Bowls as you can, this isn't a build. You're not building towards something. You're ready made. So you would do it. I think you would do it. The Bucs, it's a little bit different. And I do wonder because it's been out there. You know what? Should Tampa Bay go out and make some trades and bring in a wide receiver? And I think at this point, if you think that is going to be the difference between you winning the division / making the playoffs or not, yeah, but I'm not breaking the bank for some of these 32, 33 injury-prone Cooper Kupp. You want Cooper Kupp? You can have him. Apparently he's for sale. Anybody can take him. Don't mind Cooper Kupp. He, too, is somebody that you probably aren't going to sign at the end of the year, or maybe you do, but that means you're deciding on him over Godwin at the end of this year because they're not sure they can re-sign Godwin. We know that.
I don't know.
Godwin's the heart and soul of the team.
I don't think you go grab Cooper as a 1. If you're depleted, I don't know that you grab Cooper Kupp. Now, if you want to put your offense over the top, if you're that kind of buyer, where I want to separate myself to where a defensive coordinator says, well, who the hell am I guarding? That's when I go get Cooper. Like Kansas City went to go get Nuke because they got nothing right now. They got Bupkis. So we got to go bring in somebody. I think that's a smarter play. But if you are what if you're, I don't know, Baltimore, if you're a team that, man, you just,
Baltimore's offense doesn't need anybody.
But that's what the Bucs offense was, in the Super Bowl year. Well, the second Super Bowl year, excuse me. And that was Mike, and it was Godwin, and then AB, and Gronk, and Fournette. I mean, good Lord, you've got no chance.
I really wish
Cam Brate.
We loved us some Cam Brate. I really wish Amari Cooper hadn't gone to the Bills. That was a good pickup. And by the way, it's apparently going to help Keelan Coleman, who had his first 100-yard game of his career.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. You try to think who's out there. Look, the Bucs aren't going to get to the requisite number of wins without a trade for a receiver at this point. That would have been ideal to either get DeAndre Hopkins or Amari Cooper. I think would have been ideal. And now both are gone. So if you sit pat, I think it's Atlanta's division. This game, by the way, becomes on Sunday a de facto must win.
Oh, I mean, look.
All because you threw the one away.
How is it right? How is it that my Mets season ended one night before the Bucs season? Like, really? That was what was wild. I just couldn't believe that.
Well,
and that's not the first time. Hey, you could check the tapes. When Winfield got hurt against Washington in week 1, I said, can we stop doing that? 10 points with 1:40 to go. And you already caught one onside kick. Come on, man.
Well, the problem is that you did get the onside kick, and you do only need a field goal to force another onside kick. This one's borderline. I get it.
Nope.
Because don't play the results now.
No,
I'm saying situationally, if you kick a field goal there and you're down 7, you got a shot at an onside there. You do. And I don't think that's a position where you stop playing. I get it. I probably would have shut it down before then.
Yes.
But they got the touchdown and they ended up
I mean, Lamar's been chilling on the sideline for a half an hour by the time the game's over.
Well, that doesn't dictate whether or not.
No, but it's just it's horrible optics. And again, I was of the mindset that we had been far too aggressive consistently in what was known as garbage time. What was it? 40 to 17,
18.
Come on, man. You've got a huge game on Sunday against your division. This game is over. The one on Sunday is the one that's going to help define with tiebreakers, NFC records, all of those things. When you lose, this is one of those little things about the tiebreakers. AFC losses mean nothing in the standings when you get to seeding.
The Falcons game is everything this weekend, and they're coming into it as injured as you could possibly be. And yeah, it's devastating. I said at the time about the game that was going to matter in this stretch that the Bucs are in. It's Falcons. So it's Ravens, Falcons. By the way, the NFL can go to hell. It's Ravens, Falcons, Chiefs, 49ers. In what world did they think that was cool? Like, hey, here you go, guys. Have fun with that. But, truthfully, you only needed to win one of them.
Right, because the following 3 games are...
you get a break, but you only needed to win this Falcons game. You could come out the other side 500. It wouldn't even matter. Okay, exhale. All of our goals are there. We're okay. We're still in it in the division. We're good. Atlanta already did you a favor and got blown out by Seattle. So their record stayed condensed.
Yeah, I think for our case, if you're really trying to argue for Cooper Kupp or any receiver that can help you, it's that you use the 3-headed monster of, in no particular order, but I will order them, Bucky Irving, Sean Tucker, and Rashad White. You have been able to run the football with consistency this season. You have been, especially when Bucky's back there and Sean Tucker.
I love me some Sean Tucker.
And then Rashad has
out of the backfield, he can catch.
Yes, and he's good pass pro, all that kind of stuff. If you had a receiver, that is an offense that you can win with if your defense hadn't been consistently porous the last few weeks.
He's always going to live and die by the blitz.
Yeah.
And if you don't get home, you get beat. Or if he buys time, like it's especially susceptible to a quarterback that can avoid the blitz.
Well, and that was another look at me crew the other night too, because the hold on the Godwin touchdown's asinine. So, the one that would have put us up 14-0, you're in a position where you're up 21-0 or 17-0.
Well, the pick, if he doesn't,
the pick is unbelievable.
The pick is unbelievable. That's okay. That's right. He's Baker Mayfield. That's a toughie.
I was watching Manning cast for that. And
by the way, it said prior to that though, you have what is, I mean, if old, what's his name fingers can make a catch.
This is true. Now he's out till week 12, and he never misses a game. I think that's what served to his detriment, is he shouldn't have been out there in the first place, clearly.
Would you call the Jets for Mike Williams?
For Garrett Wilson, I would. Now we're talking. Go get me Garrett Wilson.
I don't think they're parting with Garrett Wilson. They'll part with Mike Williams.
They're going to part with wins no matter what, so that's why I would call him.
It's a fun exercise. Requires me to tell you about a need for a happy hour and a healthier and more natural happy hour. A carefree moment with my friends at Cornbread. Cornbread's THC gummies can be yours and on the cheap right now. Balanced sense of happiness and relaxation, by the way. No synthetic ingredients. Organic, my friends, organic. They've sent me a container of said THC hemp gummies. And I have, in order to make this ad authentic, participated in the eating of said gummies. They're outstanding. Calms your nerves at a time like this with the Noles taking the field with sure defeat laying before them. Don't mind if I do. I'll pop one of these gummies. Take it in stride. If you do that, do it on us. It's on the cheap. It's a special offer for Jeff Cameron Show listeners. You get up to 30% off your first order. 30%! Good Lord. Oh, by the way, it is 100% legal. Visit cornbreadhemp.com/warchant. Use the promo code warchant at checkout. cornbreadhemp.com/warchant. Use the promo code warchant and save 30% off your first order. Cheers to a happier and healthier, I can say it, happy hour.
This is Jay of Paul's Termite and Pest Control. There are many companies out there selling pest treatment programs at prices which seem too good to be true. Like most things, you get what you pay for. Let's separate the fact from the fiction. Fiction. The price these companies offer includes all visits needed to keep a home pest-free. Fact. Their prices only include regular visits for exterior treatments. If you encounter pests inside your home, these companies will charge you for additional visits. Is that really pest prevention? At Paul's Termite and Pest Control, we always apply exterior treatments, but our plan includes a significant difference. Whenever you encounter an interior problem, Paul's technicians are there, usually the same day you call, and there is no extra charge. With ProShield, you'll never pay extra for providing the service we promised. Pest prevention for your home, and we'll be there as many times as needed to honor our commitment with no extra charge. Paul's Termite and Pest Control is a local company that proudly served the Tallahassee area for over 50 years.
For the elimination of termites and any other pests,
call Paul's. We'll get them all.
And we make lawns greener, too.
Macklemore Systems is Tallahassee's most trusted certified Mac experts for iPhone and iPad repairs,
LCD screen replacements, upgrades, data recovery, and so much more.
Macklemore Systems on Capitol Circle next to Esposito's. Once you go Mac, you never go back.
And I'm just fine with that.
Homeowners, this is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, and I want to talk to you today about consolidating your debt. Are you struggling with your monthly expenses? Consumer spending and overall debt are reaching all-time highs, while homeowners are sitting on trillions of dollars in untapped equity in their homes. Don't be afraid to walk away from that 2% mortgage while you're paying double-digit interest rates on credit cards and lines of credit and drowning in debt. Let's talk about how we can consolidate your debt, lower your overall monthly payments, and potentially save you thousands of dollars in the process. Give me a call at 954-369-6171. Again, 954-369-6171. And this is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, and I'm at 954-369-6171.
Equal housing NMLS 373031.
Enterprises, roofing and construction services. These are construction.com. We conquer all peaks. We fix those storm leaks. Call 850-766-134. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark Construction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
Choose Hearth and Patio for custom fireplaces, maintenance, outdoor grills, kitchens, fire pits, lighting, and so much more. Check out all of Hearth and Patio's options online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth and Patio, they keep the home fires burning.
This is Hugh Tomlinson, president of the Tallahassee Quarterback Club. I invite you to join our historic club supporting local football since 1949. Don't miss our exciting events featuring legendary and popular football personalities. Get updates from FSU coaches, win great door prizes, and stay on top of all local football. Attend our next event featuring sports analyst and former UGA star David Pollock on October 29th. Get your tickets or join our club at TallahasseeQBClub.com. That's TallahasseeQBClub.com. Get in the game. Get in the club.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
It will certainly be far more entertaining. I should note that Jameis Winston will be starting for the Ravens this week. That would be something. The Browns versus the Ravens this week. So there you go.
That would be one hell of a development.
What has happened? I mean, Lamar...
Literally tragedy would have to happen for that to be the case.
Lamar just took the lead in the MVP race again, and they decided to start Jameis in a trade. Oh, man. You go back through the 2024 quarterbacks, the list of players that we're seeing how people are doing, and the kids that were recruited as freshmen. And, man, I keep going back. They've got the list out here now, and I'm seeing, obviously, Kromenhoek, 3 of 7, 19 yards. They just put the stats underneath all the players.
Could be 4 of 7.
Could be 4 of 7 for like 100 yards. My man's got to make a catch. Oh, so frustrating. Probably not as frustrating as seen on that list what Lagway's doing, which is 100 yards rushing, 5 touchdown passes, over 1,000 yards throwing on 54 of 86 right now. So we'll see. But he's going to be the guy the rest of the way with Mertz out. And if you just want to add to the misery of Florida State football, let's take a look around the state. Great. They got a good young quarterback. He saved the season.
You could argue that Florida is in the best position of any of the big 3 programs right now because they have the young quarterback.
Yeah, it hurts, buddy. It hurts. It's
Miami in the short term, Florida in the long term, and us in the, well,
what was
terminal.
once a staple on the show, which was that I point out that nature wants to kill you, and we find all of the wonderful stories that have happened over the years in which that was borne out. We saw crazy things happen. And this morning, Tom, when I was going through my notes, as I referenced earlier, just kind of compiling some fun things here, I thought, well, I could talk about that ridiculously contrived story that is the LeBron-Bronny situation, but that sounds boring. I'm not going to do that because that's stupid. Let's instead do this. An Italian surfer has died after being impaled in the chest by a swordfish. That is a toughie. My. I'm just out here surfing off Indonesia's west coast. And Julia Manfrini, 36, had been surfing in the Mentawai Islands, a remote island chain, when she suffered a freak accident, according to a business partner. Manfrini was surfing along there when a swordfish decided to leap from the water, and in doing so, badoom, right in the chest. And I wonder in these moments when we read these stories and you hear of these accounts, does the person who is now in the throes of death, knowing that this is it, probably, you just had a spear go through your chest, you go from exhilaration to instantaneously knowing, this is it, huh? This is how I'm going to go. A swordfish. Not a shark. Not a shark. I didn't get eaten by a great white. I didn't get attacked by a tiger shark, which is what I would fear while surfing. No, I'm not going to drown because I hit the coral after a bad wreck. No. A swordfish leapt from the water at the exact moment I was on this wave. This wave. I just missed the previous wave, which I had gotten that wave. There was zero chance I'd be struck by this swordfish, but I missed it just barely and had to settle on this wave. And it was because I landed this wave in this moment in time in the middle of nowhere, Indonesia, that a swordfish hops right here, right now, in the intersection of me and this fish right here. What the chances? This is ridiculous. Like, would you just laugh as you lay there drowning or dying of your heart bleed?
Well, did they die from that impaling?
Yes.
So they didn't drown.
Well,
that makes a difference. That makes a difference. I hope the swordfish was so precise with the impaling that
it was quick.
It was quick. Well, otherwise, then you're just really in a lot of pain and distress, and you're looking at the sky and you're going until you go, and the water's filling up in your lungs.
Yeah.
And that's way worse.
Well,
way worse.
That happened to the crocodile hunter. He got the rapid stings 6 times.
Yeah.
And he had time to know.
And he had time to communicate.
Oh, yeah. He was saying, bye, I'm dying. He said it. That sucks. You're right. It's not quick enough. You're hoping the swordfish pierced this woman's heart.
Yeah.
Just like that. Do you think the swordfish was thinking, what the hell?
What's a different
What am
taste?
I stuck on?
What is this?
I'm just stuck. I can't get out from what is this? I'm just stuck here.
Get me out of
This
here.
is ridiculous. I can't breathe.
Obviously, it wasn't staged. I know it's not. It can't be. Can't be.
No.
But anytime I hear in a same sentence a business partner calling something a freak accident,
You think, really? Yeah.
really? A business partner?
Well, the business partner's name is James Colston. There were witnesses to this.
Of course.
though.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't think he paid off the swordfish.
Yeah,
or
it would be
anything like
tough.
that.
Yeah. Colston and Manfredi founded a travel company.
Oh, man.
And they organized trips to popular surfing destinations, and they were on one of these surfing destinations with these people who pay to go on it. Now imagine that. I've waited my whole life to arrive at the Sumatra coast, where today we shall surf. Make sure, Jan, you've got the video camera ready. I can't wait. Test it on Julia. See if you can get it just right for when I jump in. Oh, no. I mean, that is brutal. We've done a lot of these over the years, whether it's a farmer drowning in 1 inch of manure.
Ooh.
Remember that one? Tractor tilted, couldn't lift the tractor, face stuck in 1 inch of manure water.
Nobody to help you.
You're just there with a tractor on top of you, and the rest of you is out of the water. So you've got your eyes above the water while your nose is in the manure water, and you know you can't lift a tractor. We're going to call it a day here, but it's going to take some time.
Right. No, that's horrifying. And then he calls another bubble screen to the perimeter, and it was 3rd and 11. I don't know why we called it.
So there you go, buddy. That's the latest. Nature wants to kill you. Swordfish through the heart. Swordfish have been caught on video before being caught reeled into a boat and like lancing somebody off the, you've seen those videos. That's happened. But this one is just straight up get you some in the heart.
Score 1 for the swordfish species.
But the swordfish it was just like swimming. It's like, I'm loving life. I'm going to jump out of this water. It's such a beautiful morning. What in the world? That swordfish's story to other swordfishes, it won't be believable. People are going, no, come on. So what happened? In all the ocean?
Marie, I'm telling you.
I'm telling you. Impaled this woman. It took me a minute and a half to get out of her chest. It was crazy. My friends at Tried and True Consulting, by the way, they once had a campaign called Plant the Spear on credit card processing costs. See what I did there? That was borderline brilliant. I'll tell you more about the happy hour that we're going to have, but I do want you to know that the ad board program is still alive and well and doing well. And if you and your business are looking for more exposure, something to actively utilize your wall space and tell the world what you do, Don and Joe are ready to help out. They'll come in and provide said ad board for you. Ideal businesses, no doubt. Dental's offices. If you own a bar or a restaurant, of course. If you got a waiting room of any kind that has the wall space for a 55-inch television, let's go. You give them a call today. Don, Joe, Rusty, getting it done here in Tallahassee. 844-464-6653.
Now, here's your Paul's Termite and Pest Control Tallahassee weather report.
Our dry and warm pattern continues. High pressure staying in control. Rain chances staying out of the forecast. High temperatures above average for this time of year. Highs in the mid to upper 80s with lows in the upper 50s to lower 60s. Tonight, clear, low of 58. Thursday and Friday, sunny with a high of 87 and lows in the upper 50s. From Real Talk 93.3, this is Danielle Kelly.
For the elimination of termites, pests, and for a greener lawn too, call Paul's. They'll get them all.
Hey, let me tell you about my friends at Tried and True Consulting, a Seminole-owned business that specializes in payments and business solutions. Tried and True's core expertise includes card, ACH, point of sale, mobile, e-commerce, and hosted payment solutions. Tried and True will help you reduce costs and increase your bottom line. That always sounds nice. Whether you're a retailer, restaurant, licensed professional, or service industry, Tried and True is saving you money. Tried and True's expertise extends to payroll, video menu ad boards, IT services, web design, and social media. It's time to make one call and tell the competition to take it on down the road. Call Don or Joe today at 844-464-6653. That's 844-464-6653. When you do business with Tried and True, they contribute 10% of the net revenue to the battle's end. So go Tried and True today. Call 844-464-6653.
Searching for the best place to host an event for your friends and family? The Golf Club at Summerbrook is more than just a place for a round of golf. It's also one of the best choices for hosting and celebrating the most special days in your life. From rehearsal dinners and baby showers to corporate banquets and kids' birthday parties, you'll receive amazing personal service and attention to every detail when you choose the Golf Club at Summerbrook. Find out how affordable it can be and call us today at 850-894-GOLF. That's 850-894-GOLF.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avastin-capted Pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
By the way, I've always kind of wondered this. Oh, thanks, no Kev. A swordfish can catch a human in a whole ass ocean, but our receivers can't catch a ball right in their hands. Oh, man. Josh, appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for hanging in there listening to the show. Oh, hello, Roof One. Is there any reasoning to take the financial hit now and move on to a new coach to reset the program brand, looking at all angles, realignment, Canes upswing, Gators to make moves this year? I fear the timing of this year is bad. Timing's bad. I don't think the Gators are going to make a move this year. It is not necessarily a cost-effective move for them right now. It would be a lot, and I would tell you that I think he saved his job because I think there's a good chance he's going to go 6-6. They're going to beat us, and he's going to ride the wave of momentum for this young quarterback. Back to the question at hand, this is the cost analysis that people have to do all the time. Usually it's not a year after going undefeated and extending your coach and giving him a hefty raise along with his staff. This is the problem, because if that had not happened, I think most certainly they would just move on. They would say, you know what? I can't fathom how this happened. I hate that it happened. We like Mike. Wish this didn't happen, but it did, and we got to go. We're starting over. You can't go and do that here. Not at a place like Florida State. This is unacceptable. We're starting over. But I think many factors are weighing into this now, including a strange and changing time in college athletics, college football in particular. You've seen a sea change. And then I think the other thing is they've extended themselves so far now. They've got so many projects and things that they're spending. They're spending money on a lawsuit, on the stadium. They're spending money on a football-only facility. They just gave raises across the board. I think it's just easier to fire the assistant coaches. It's a drop in the bucket. It won't be nothing, but it's affordable. And have him make these changes and see if you can't get this turned around, because he's proven to be, however briefly, a very good coach. There was a stretch of the last 2 years that certainly counts towards something. I think they'll view that as, in a weird way, a get-out-of-jail-free card for this year. Not that there isn't a real price to pay, and not that there isn't very real frustration, and not that there aren't some people, probably very powerful people, who would like to reset it, start over. But I don't believe that'll happen. I don't. I think they'll stick to it. I think they'll stick with what they have. It's tough. Could this disaster cost a chance at the Power 2? I don't think the decision will be made by this year, by this disastrous season. No, I don't believe that it would. I think Florida State's cachet over the last 40-plus years ensures that it is a brand that any Power 2 expanded college football super conference would want to be a part of. They would want the ratings and the high-profile asset that is Florida State football. Florida State is not this season. Florida State's a collection of 3 national titles and the upper echelon of college football over the last 50 years. Now, Florida State is also not as consistent as those of us Noles would love to see it be, because we've had way too many moments that maybe aren't akin to this one, which is, again, something that is extraordinary to try and document, describe, and talk about. But we have had more than our fair share of down seasons lately, and it is very frustrating. You'd like to think this is the caliber of program that could avoid the disastrous season. But, I say that, and, they have more money than they know what to do with at the University of Florida, and this will be, if they don't have a winning season, their 4th consecutive losing season. We're not alone. Obviously, Miami's been in the wilderness for a very long time. This season is crazy, true. But we've seen many upper echelon programs go through inexplicable adversity for prolonged periods of time. What bothers me is that if you're even, and this is not a direct shot at Mike. It falls under the umbrella, but it's not. If you're even competent, the floor at FSU, because of where it is, its cachet, the ability to recruit, the region you're in, should be 8-4, 7-5 with a slew of injuries, 6-6. You should never, ever, 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 under any circumstance, find yourself in this situation. And that, I understand, causes angst and derision, frustration, and anger, the likes of which is just beginning, because people think that they've accepted with all their heart 1-6, and they know what the rest of the campaign's going to be. But let them go out on Saturday and lose 58-0 to the Miami Hurricanes. Let them go and win one more game, and it's against the likes of Charleston Southern, and see Florida roll in here after the season we expected them to have and beat Florida State. That anger will be ratcheted up above and beyond where it sits currently.
If that's the case, too, his ACC record going into the offseason would be an even 20-20.
Yeah, no, that's not acceptable, Tom. It's not good enough.
20 ACC losses.
Now, again, let's not pretend the first 2 years weren't that of a massive rebuild.
No, for sure.
So, I'm not going to do that thing, but yes.
Yeah, he's 13-3 in the conference the previous 2 seasons. 13-3, followed by 1-7, so you'd be looking at 14-10 in a 3-year span.
That's not good enough. I mean, this whole season is just throws gasoline on everything.
Yes. Don't need to stand on ceremony here. You don't even need to say it. You show the record. There's no I come back to the idea that it is very hard to have this happen. So many things have to be misjudged.
Yeah, no, I've said this, that what Mike has done in a vacuum is a fireable offense. It is. If it were a different Tommy, we would be calling for him to be fired. But as most things are, there's nuance to this discussion.
Usually when you do this, you don't have 19 in a row before it.
It never happens that you win
that's
19 games in a row and then produce this. It never happens.
The head-scratching part. You're like, huh, okay. I mean, take it from the perspective, you like to say this, from somebody living in Topeka.
Yeah, you'd just be like, what in the world is happening there?
You take a look at Mike Norvell's sequencing of his head coaching record at Florida State. 3-6 COVID year, throw it out, doesn't matter. Mel Tucker was awesome. Jimbo was awesome in COVID at A&M. Who cares?
Yep.
5-7. Not ideal, but you know what? We understand that he took over an absolute tire fire.
There's still some problems within that 5-7. Okay, gotcha.
10-3.
Uh-huh.
All right,
All right.
improvement.
Yep.
It looks like he's got his way, his methods. 13-1. Okay. Look at
with
this.
an unprecedented snub. Yeah.
Right. 5-10 to 13 in the win column. All right. He's got it. 1. Now we're at 1-6. What? That doesn't happen. It just doesn't.
No. You know, the crazy thing about all this is I believe that if you could sit down with him and he had to, take truth serum or just honestly sit across from you and answer questions without fear of ramification, like not worry about the perception that an answer would bring about, not worry about how you're carefully messaging to players and recruits and donors. You just having a real conversation. It's you and me doing a bellying up, only it's me and Mike having a bellying up at the bar, a beer in, not drunk, just nice. Relax. Let's talk for real. My man, this is crazy wrong and effed up, and you're the one responsible for it. What do you say? He would say, yeah, it is. It is. Absolutely, I have failed. I'm furious with myself. Believe me, I am having to fight depression on a daily basis. I cannot believe I've allowed for this to happen. I do believe he would think and say something along those lines. I'm just using this and saying words that he might not say, but the sentiment would be the same. That I know I screwed this up. It'll never happen again. I get that in certain circumstances, I wouldn't be allowed to fix it, but I'm going to fix it, is what he would say next. I'm going to make it right. I hope that many years from now, this will be a footnote. Remember when this happened? That's crazy. That's how he's going to hope that this is talked about many years from now. But I think he would acknowledge that this is insane.
Well, and
brutally unacceptable.
It looks different than anything we've seen before, too, because as Jimbo's time was deteriorating, even though we were not allowed into practice, so you didn't get to see those types of moments, because sometimes that can tell you the story a little bit, too. You could sense it. And you did as far back as 2016, like, man, something isn't right here.
I was worried about that, yeah.
He's challenging fans to a fight. That's towards the end. But in the interim, there are press conferences that are weird and personnel decisions that are strange. And like the recruiting rankings looked fine. They didn't look elite like they were in the early part of his tenure, but they weren't bad. We weren't falling apart. But then you start hearing stories. And you're like, well, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, we do have problems here. And then predictably it crashes, right? So like there was a through line that you could see, bad times are a building. We're stacking up, negative things and crash.
There was no accountability in that situation. Yeah.
Willie, it never got off the ground. And sure, if it was a different for him on the field, maybe he gets results and he gets a ton of recruits in here. The moment that Virginia Tech happens, his first football game, like everybody knows.
I'm telling you, the game for me, Tom,
Syracuse on the road.
Yeah, that's the one today, to this very day.
I'm just talking about recruits, atmosphere, all that kind of stuff. Like it had already fallen apart. And then you're hearing stories on the trail. You're hearing stories about official visitor weekends and non-official visitor weekends. And you're thinking, oh my God, there's no way. This team doesn't have a prayer. Overhaul an offensive coordinator, overhaul defensive side. Didn't matter. It was a mess. And you could see it coming. This one is different because they went to work in spring camp and it looked the same as the way they went to work previous. Were the players as good? No. But they went to work the same way. Same thing in the fall camp. You didn't hear any stories behind the scenes of Mike is, shaving 3 hours off of his day, 2 on the front end, 1 on the back end.
Right. No.
None of it. None of that. That's what's stunning about it. It's typically when you see 1 and 6, you have heard things before 1 and 6 comes like, hey, guys, batten down the hatches because you have no idea what it's like over here behind closed doors. Never happened.
By the way, I was very surprised, Tom. Brendan Gant went to Colorado, made 9 tackles.
Could have helped us.
I think so. I would have thought it. I kind of hated when he left.
Yeah, me too. Little coverage backer, third down backer.
Yeah, would have helped. Shohei Ohtani's 50-50 ball sold for a lot of money, despite the fact there's a huge legal fight for whose ball is it. Last month in Miami, Ohtani became the first player in Major League Baseball history to hit 50 home runs and steal 50 in a season. Fans scrambled to grab the ball. A man named Christian Zasek was able to leave home with it. 18-year-old Max Mattis sued Zasek, claiming that he had the ball in his arms the whole time until it was ripped from his hands. One of those shameful admissions you got to make. Another man took what was mine. I wasn't strong enough to hold it. So I'm going to sue, but I hate that this is going to be publicly talked about. A third man says, but hold on. I had the ball and both those bitches ripped it out of my hands.
Who's the third man?
The 3 men did agree to allow the auction of the ball to go forward while they were suing each other. Attorneys Robinson, Clausen, and Josephsberg released a statement revealing that the agreement between the men means that they're thrilled to announce that all 3 baseball fans and the Ohtani 50-50 baseball litigation matters have agreed that the auction and sale of one of the most extraordinary pieces in sports memorabilia history will proceed as scheduled. It did. It summoned a whopping $4.3 million. They are going to fight over that $4.3 million. And can you imagine the Zapruder film-like effort to go through frame by frame to see, is that Zasek with it right there in his hands? I don't know if that's Zasek or not. That might be Matthias.
That's me, the green hat.
Is that Johnson? He has it for a split second. Is that possession? Zasek's got a firmer grip. I'm here to tell you my client Matthias had it most of the way. That's a lot to fight over. Somebody's brakes may get cut. Good work out of you. Be well, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow on a Redemption Thursday. Peace.
Season, guess who will be hiding under the bed? People that sell new compact cars, SUVs, and trucks. That's who. They're scared to death of Nissan's 2024 lineup. The reports are in. The new look Sentra is absolutely the best looking car you can buy for under $25,000. And the Nissan Titan is the only pickup truck on the market with 0% for 60 months and up to $8,000 off. Forbes Magazine, Wheels Division, test drove Nissan Frontier and Toyota Tacoma in head-to-head competition. Their conclusion was that the winner for driving and handling was the Nissan Frontier Pro 4X, hands down. And in an even scarier review, HotCars.com stated that the Nissan Rogue is one of the best-looking compact SUVs on the market. So if you drive an SUV or a truck, don't be afraid. Come test drive the best. Test drive a Nissan at Craft. You see, in the midst of